M&T Bank Stadium welcomes the Ravens home tonight after an offseason hiatus. New look to the stadium, new look to the Ravens team.
After a golden weekend celebrating gridiron greats, homegrown heroes, and even a top-pick touchdown, it's back to business here in Baltimore. The Ravens welcomed the LA Rams to town for 2 days of hotly contested practices. Now, it's time to show up and show off on the field at M&T. Preseason football is back in Baltimore. It's time for Rams Ravens.
Young Ravens players getting their first taste of what it's like to play at M&T Bank Stadium as the Ravens kick it off tonight at home against the LA Rams. The rebuilt Ravens passing game measuring itself against one of the top passing games in the NFL. Good evening. Welcome to M&T Bank Stadium. Jerry Sandusky with you. Happy to be joined by the coach as we get set for week 2 of an expanded preseason. And Brian, this is an expanded Ravens receiving corps that looks vastly different than a year ago, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, they've brought in some productivity at all levels. Brown's going to stretch the field. Crabtree's intermediate. Snead is that basketball and grass from the slot. And then obviously, and you add to that an Adam Hurst, or Hayden Hurst. This is the potential. I'm not saying it's going to be this, but this is what these guys have done. So it's not like a stretch to say, well, maybe they could do it. We have seen that, and I think Hayden Hurst could be what a Dennis Pitta was in the offense here in 2012.
So a year ago, when the Ravens wondered who was possibly going to get the ball from Joe Flacco on third and whatever, now he has many options. A little different look for the defense as well under new defensive coordinator Don Martindale. He was the linebacker coach under former coordinator Dean Pease. What does he bring to the table?
Well, it's that familiar transition. We've seen it time and again for the last 20 years where they promote from within. He keeps the basis of the system. That gives the players a great deal of comfort, but he's going to add some nuances to it. And visiting with Eric Weddle and T. Suggs, they talked about being more aggressive in critical situations, third down, down in the red zone. We'll see if we see some of that tonight.
One thing we have seen so far in this preseason is a new look to the quarterback position. When we come back, we'll check in with Evan Washburn down on the field as we get you set for the Ravens and the Rams tonight on the Ravens Game Day Network. Joe Flacco in his 11th season at the helm of the Ravens offense. He has been healthy. He has been sharp. RG3, the newest addition, brings veteran leadership, and that is being leaned heavily on Lamar Jackson, the first-round draft pick, the second of 2, the former Heisman Trophy winner, the second Heisman Trophy winner to back up Joe Flacco this season. Let's go down to the field. Evan Washburn checking in. Evan, this is a very interesting quarterback situation.
It is. The question is, will they keep 3? It's not something they've done here often. Lamar Jackson's going to get every opportunity in the second half of this game to continue to show that he'd be ready to step in if Joe were to go down. Everyone's favorite topic at the preseason, playing time. How much will the starters go? Well, John Harbaugh will most likely use the framework that he used last year, the 20-20-20 system. So 20 snaps for the starters, around there for Joe Flacco and some of the other key vets on this team. RG3 will get some extended action as well. And the message for Lamar Jackson, just go out there, cut it loose, and play some football, guys.
All right, Evan, thank you very much. We'll see Lamar Jackson in his second performance. He got the first game jitters out of the way. John Harbaugh, like Joe Flacco, entering his 11th season after 3 straight years missing the playoffs by just barely. Brian, you've talked about the nature of 1, 2, 3 plays making a difference. 2 plays separate the Ravens from going to the postseason the last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's the margin. That's what makes the NFL so great. That competitive margin is so narrow. And that's why, as a coach, and John Harbaugh is as good as any that have done it, is constantly harping to the players. It's just that one play. What do we got to do to get that 1 or 2 plays back that now puts us in the playoffs?
Eric Weddle greeting his coach as the veterans will be on the field for the first time tonight. They did not play for the most part last week in Canton in the Hall of Fame game. John Harbaugh using that to give his younger players some game time experience. But tonight it will be Joe Flacco getting the start. Evan touched on it. John Harbaugh has evolved the way he works his veterans into the preseason. It used to be a series in the first preseason game, working up to a half by the third preseason game. Now he breaks it down more, 20 plays, 20 plays and 20 plays. The theory, I presume, if you can get basically a full game's worth of snaps in the preseason, you're ready for the regular season.
Yeah, however you get there, the older traditional way, where in the third game you maybe come out of the tunnel at halftime just to get used to the transition. But that 20-20-20, like you said, that's 60 plays. The average number of plays in an NFL game has not changed appreciably. It's moved up a little bit given the speed of the game, but you're talking about 65, 68 plays a game. And so, yeah, that's the whole idea of training camp with the veterans. I'm going to get you what equivalent to one solid game, and then we got to go play.
Rams won the opening coin toss, elected to defer. And that means the Ravens will have the ball first here to get things started in week 2 of the preseason. Chris Moore, the veteran, is deep, awaiting the kick. A flag is down right out of the gates, so this could be the new kickoff rule. And if it is, we'll walk you through some of the nuances there as the Ravens elect for a touchback. There's a 15-yard buffer zone, but also members of the kicking team have to have both feet on the ground when the ball is kicked. They cannot lean across the 35-yard line. That is considered a pane, like a pane of glass, and they can't break that. So it's offsides will be the signal on the Rams. Ravens will likely just take the yardage and start at the 30.
Offside. 5-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down.
And that's a tough one for the coaches because, guys, you're standing still. Okay, the old, well, we're going to run up to the line, to the kickoff line and try to time that. But it is a new rule. It's something they're going to have to get used to.
Helmet rule, kickoff rule. Those are the big ones dominating for Joe Flacco. A fast start is the hope tonight. He has looked exceptional in training camp. Let's see if he carries over to game action. He'll throw on first down. Good protection. His pass complete to Hayden Hurst. An 11-yard gain. And Brian, it didn't take long for that tandem to pick up what you were talking about in pregame.
Yeah, it's just that matchup we're talking about. No matter who you put on him, he doesn't have to outrun him. He's going to outmuscle him. They've got an up-tempo offense going now, so they're going to try to take advantage of minimal substitution by the Rams defense.
Flacco again on first down, has to run out of the pocket. He'll tuck and run, going Lamar Jackson, and he slides down for a pickup of about 4. Take a look at the starting Ravens offense. The offensive line is protecting for what could be an explosive passing game. Willie Snead, Chris Moore, Nick Boyle, Hayden Hurst, Alex Collins in the backfield, all potential big playmakers for Joe Flacco. The offensive line set across the top 5. We'll be looking at the depth as this game progresses. Ronnie Stanley, a first-round pick. Orlando Brown Jr. at right tackle, a third-round pick. And, of course, Marshall Yanda not playing tonight. Ravens' first run play of the game. Only nets a couple of yards out to the 47-yard line. First touch of the preseason for Alex Collins. What a surprise he was a year ago when the Ravens claimed him on the waiver wire.
Yeah, and I think they want to see him a little more out of the backfield. They want to expand on his abilities to make plays out of the backfield. I don't know that he's ever going to be a Ray Rice type player, but to have those extra yards to go with the tight ends we've been talking so much about. Here they're in an empty set on third down.
Third down and 5. Flacco will recall Buck Allen to the backfield. Rams rush 4. Flacco hits to Buck Allen, and that's good for a first down. So Buck Allen, the versatile running back who carried a lot of the third down load a year ago, delivers on third down tonight.
Yeah, Buck Allen's the ultimate and the next man up, right? He's the guy that's going to step into an opportunity to do the plays like that, particularly on third down. Now, it's worth noting the Rams, let's keep in mind, they're not playing their starters tonight. They opted to go both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So with this starting group of the Ravens, it's definitely a priority. We got to be able to move down the field and get into scoring position against this group.
Alex Collins checks back into the backfield. Off the play fake, Flacco steps up again with good protection, and he throws complete to Michael Crabtree, but he cannot hold on to the ball. It is knocked loose, incomplete. Back to Alex Collins for a moment. A free agent pickup last year in training camp, and he scored unbelievable grades. Pro Football Focus, which grades players throughout the NFL, listed Alex Collins at the top of the list for the overall run grades. We talked about Ozzie Newsome and his staff. How's that for plucking a guy off of waivers and he's #1 in the backfield?
Yeah, that's a pretty good group he's with. You get lumped in a group like that, that bodes well for them.
He'll carry Alex Collins here. Slips for a couple of tackles. Flag is down as Collins gets to the Rams 40-yard line. We'll see if the penalty negates the game.
Personal foul. Chop block. Number 78 and 74. 15-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Bill Vinovich is our referee tonight. Chop block is one of the rules that has been in place for a while. It's basically the old high-low. You can't hit a player low when somebody else has engaged him high.
Yeah, you got to work that in combination. That's a tough one. They're putting a lot of focus on that. It's the old Denver Bronco style of, you know, cut block. It's one thing you can along the inner part of the offensive line. It's okay to cut, but you can't do it in a high-low manner like that. You can't have two players engaged in one high, one low.
That puts the Ravens at a 2nd and 25, backs them up to their 39-yard line. Flacco again will empty the backfield and look to throw out of the gun. His pass across the middle is complete. John Brown, and Brown gets the ball back beyond the original line of scrimmage to the Rams 44. A 16-yard pickup, Flacco to Brown.
Yeah, and that was, again, they had Hayden Hurst outside of Brown. They had Brown inside where typically the tight end would be. So now you get a matchup maybe with a smaller DB. You got Hayden Hurst outside, and that opens the inside up for a very quick and talented Brown.
Some things you can't see until you get to a game setting. His quickness and acceleration jumps right out at you in the game. 3rd down and 8. Flacco again to throw from the gun. Again, good pass protection. He extends the play, lobs it to the far sideline. Crabtree has it, and he's down inside the Rams' 15-yard line. Joe Flacco extending the play. Michael Crabtree finishing it off.
And that was all Joe Flacco. His ability, as you say, Jerry, to extend the play. You see, he's going to step up into the pocket. This is murder on a DB. He's got him covered. He's able to go to his left. He runs what amounts to an out and up. The DB was all over it, and his ability to extend the play right here. The DB, I got it. I know exactly. He knows where the chains are. He was going for the 3rd down marker to get the 1st down. Creates a big play off Joe Flacco's mobility.
Puts the Ravens in the Grill Mates red zone for the first time tonight. Flacco to throw on 1st down. Swing pass, he'll just get rid of that one. Put it over top of Buck Allen's head on purpose because he had nobody open. It's 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, he's going to kick himself when he looks at the film tomorrow. He had Nick Boyle dragging underneath. Very dangerous when you go from the far right to the middle to the far left on a late throw. He's lucky that one didn't get intercepted.
Red zone always an area where teams like to focus because the difference between getting touchdowns in the red zone and settling on field goals can frequently be the difference in the outcome of the game. Joe Flacco 4 of 6 on his opening drive.
It's Hayden Hurst in motion.
To the ground game, Buck Allen powers his way down to about the 11-yard line. Pick up a handful of yards and sets up a 3rd down.
And we saw, and again, remember last year, Jerry, when we were doing this, it was all about the running game. Can the running game improve? The Ravens, when they were outside of the top 15 in the league in rushing, they didn't go to the playoffs. When they're inside, boded well. Now last year they were 12th, 11th or 12th in the league in rushing, and didn't get to the playoffs, but they were right there. So now they can add the elements of the receivers, a healthy offensive line with that established running game. We're going to see a lot of productivity, particularly here in the red zone.
Flacco on 3rd down. Going to the end zone, looking for Crabtree, incomplete. A flag is down on the far side of the field. Could be late contact by the defense. Beyond that 5-yard buffer.
Illegal use of hands. Hands in the face. Defense number 32. 5-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
Well, and this is particularly on 3rd down. You can see in the slot Crabtree here, and now he's got a trail. They're going to go in and out on him, or excuse me, on the outside. Not even a factor, excuse me. It was called on all the way on the outside. You know, you've been in practice for a couple weeks. Nothing gets called, even if you have officials at practice. It doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, now it costs you.
So instead of a field goal try, the Ravens are looking at a 1st and goal. Ball at the Rams 6. Power formation, play action, Flacco to the fullback, Patrick Ricard, touchdown Ravens. Well, the converted defensive tackle, he still plays some defense, but he looks very comfortable. And I have to believe, Brian, the coaches are comfortable with him when he's the guy that they throw to down to the goal line.
Yeah, how about that? When you're a defensive coordinator, defensive on the field, you're going to say, okay, this guy, we got Crabtree, and we can go to that. The last guy who's going to catch anything is that big fullback that's really a defensive lineman in Ricard. So obviously he's going to sneak out of the backfield. It's a luxury to have a guy that can do as many things as Ricard can do, because the fullback is really, Jerry, we talked about this before the game, kind of a dying breed.
Justin Tucker will attempt the extra points. Tucker makes it 7-0 Ravens.
Yeah, when you get down in the red zone this tight, you got to stop the run or stop the pass. They were configured to stop the run, and that's why you get the big Ricard for a touchdown, first of the night for the Ravens.
Joe Flacco on the offense with the Geico scoring drive, 70 yards, 10 plays, and they cap it with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Patrick Ricard. A year ago, he was a novelty, maybe an experiment. He's the real deal. We've seen this play throughout training camp. Patrick Ricard, a big body, excellent blocker, but nimble in the passing game as well. So this Ravens offense, borderline disastrous a year ago this time, suddenly has multiple weapons, can throw the ball, they can run the ball. Now let's put it in perspective. Joe Flacco, the first team offense, not working against the Rams starters. But when you start your veterans and they go down the field, as a coach, Brian, you feel pretty good.
Absolutely. And we talked about John Harbaugh's 20-20-20. Well, you got half of it right here in 10-play drive. It couldn't have been scripted any better for the Ravens.
Be interesting to see if Joe Flacco's night is done or if he comes back for that second drive. John Harbaugh sharing with you in our pregame show that you want to play your veterans 20 plays until they look really good in that first drive, and then you don't want to get them hurt.
Yeah. Those staff meetings are great. No, it's going to be 20. It's going to be 20, and then you have a good drive. All right, change my mind. Get those guys out of there.
Justin Tucker will handle the kickoffs. So far tonight, he fielded at the 5-yard line, brought out by JoJo Natson. He'll get to the 25-yard line where he is planted into the turf. All right, Brian. Keys to the game for the Ravens offense tonight. What are you looking for?
Well, the offensive line and the improvement that we're talking about really does come down to the second level guys. That's where they've got to build some depth. We all want to see how Lamar Jackson has he progressed in 1 week from look down the field, guy not there, run the ball. Can he progress to the second, third, maybe receiver? And then running back productivity, not just running the ball, but as we talked about, particularly with an Alex Collins, can they be productive out of the backfield?
Todd Gurley will likely not see much playing time tonight. First down is Mannion at quarterback for the Rams. His pass is complete out to the 28-yard line for a short gain. Jimmy Smith on the stop for the Ravens. Jerry Sandusky, the coach. Brian Billick with you live from the Verizon broadcast booth. 7-0 Ravens here in the early going of preseason game number 2.
You know, likewise, we're not seeing the starters on the Rams, but that's okay. These guys, this defense wants to hit somebody else. They've had a couple days of practice against them, and now it's for the real deal.
Malcolm Brown is the running back for the Rams. And he'll get his first carry to the teeth of that Ravens defense. Not much there as the Ravens stuff him after a gain of 1. Up front for the Ravens, Brandon Williams, Willie Henry, Brent Urban. That is a very good looking defensive line. Great edge pressure by this Ravens defense. Of course, you have Terrell Suggs on one side, Matt Judon, a rising star, on the other side. And in the secondary, this is where the Ravens are suddenly very deep. Brandon Carr and Jimmy Smith at the corners. Eric Weddle, Chuck Clark getting the start at the safety position. 3rd down and 5 for the Rams. Ravens defense seeing if it can't force a 3-and-out to start things tonight. Ravens rush 5. Mannion's pass is complete, and that's good for a first down out to the 36-yard line, where Anthony Levine makes the stop, but not before the Rams move the sticks.
Yeah, this Ram group is a talented group, even at the second level. And Sean McVay, obviously the success he had coming in and taking on Jared Goff. Wink Martindale. Been a while since he's called a game, so he's got to shake some cobwebs out as well, particularly in critical situations. The timing of it, getting it in, and his staff getting used to the rhythm and tempo of how he wants to call a defensive game.
1st and 10, Los Angeles. At the Ravens 36. Back to the ground game with Malcolm Brown going down as the Ravens all over him. Tavon Young, after missing last year with a season-ending injury, stepping up and making penetration into the backfield. When you talk about the aggressive style that Don Martindale wants to play, Brian, is that individual aggressiveness? Is that strategic aggressiveness? Is blitz scheme? What do they mean when they say he's more aggressive?
Yeah, it comes down to situational defense, places that you want to do something a little unconventional, maybe the pressures, and the teams to go with it. I got a sense that is the thing we'll see the most different. Maybe a little bit more press, a little bit more hug and roll out than we've seen in years past.
Sean Mannion's pass is dropped at the 40-yard line, and that will put LA into a 3rd down and 10. C.J. Mosley had the coverage there. Interesting job battle emerging next door to Mosley at the will linebacker position, where last year's starter Peanut Owasso has been challenged by Kenny Young, and I'm getting the sense that neither guy's going to win that. Instead, they've both been equally impressive. It sounds like John Harbaugh might just try to figure out a way to use them both this season as much as possible. On third down, we'll see if we get some of that aggressiveness from Don Martindale's defense. Here it comes. Ravens bring blitz pressure, and they sack Mannion. Back at the 27-yard line, Matt Judon. 8 sacks a year ago, his first of preseason.
Well, you're going to see it come off this left side back in here. You get isolated the way they've matched up 2 extreme wide rushers. The right tackle's got to kick out by himself with no help, leaves a soft edge, turns his shoulder. Nice job by Judon, dipping the shoulder and getting the sack.
It's a luxury if you play on the edge opposite of Terrell Suggs, because Suggs is going to draw a lot of attention for obvious reasons. Matt Judon, I'm going to predict this right now, becomes a major star in the NFL this year. He is talented.
Well, everybody's looking for that 1-2 punch.
Janarian Grant is deep, awaiting the punt. He's going to let this one bounce, and it will trickle out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. So Matt Judon delivering on Wink Martindale's defense. The Ravens offense will have the ball for the second time when we get back. 7-0 first quarter.
Ravens football is brought to you by M&T Bank, proud to be the official bank of your Baltimore Ravens. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Verizon, the official wireless voice, internet, and cable service provider of the Baltimore Ravens. By MedStar Health, proud to be the official medical team of the Baltimore Ravens. And by Advanced Business Systems, official business solutions provider to the Baltimore Ravens.
Joe Flacco engineering a impressive first drive, Brian.
Yeah, and it was all Joe Flacco. Obviously, he had to overcome a couple penalties on the third down. But right here, this is Joe Flacco extending the offense, making plays outside the design of the offense, coming to a key third down inside the Brown. Dumps the ball off to Patrick Ricard for the touchdown in big personnel. So that was all about Joe Flacco extending the play.
And now Flacco's work done for the night, so offensive coordinator Marty Morningwig is going to hand the offense off to his rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson. 2016 Heisman Trophy winner out of Louisville. 32nd player taken in this year's draft. He has shown flashes in training camp. His athleticism is unequaled in this camp. Now he has to start developing some of the polish that you need at quarterback in the NFL. On first down, Jackson hands it off. Alex Collins with a blocker in front of him, out across the 40-yard line to midfield and then some into Rams territory.
Nice job. Watch this right side as they come around. That's Hayden Hurst. We talked about the ability to block on the run, throwing a big block down the field to crank the big play. A 2 tight end alignment that we talked about in the pregame that gives the Ravens a lot of latitude.
23-yard gain that puts the ball right at the midfield line. If you can get your running game going and you have a running quarterback, all of a sudden your defensive coordinator is like on a lazy Susan, just spinning around. Here's Lamar Jackson looking to throw, going deep at the numbers. What a catch. Chris Moore plucks it from midair and is down at the 15-yard line of the Rams. Sensational catch by the veteran out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, this is just one of those, jump balls, back shoulder throw, a little bit crowded in the area, but nice placement. High and behind him, the DB is actually in good position, but the fact that he put it on the back shoulder, great job by Chris Moore, reaching around and maintaining possession of the ball to the ground.
Second trip to the Grillmates red zone for the Ravens. Off the read option, Lamar Jackson. A hesitation move, and he has nowhere to go. He's forced out of bounds. Lamar Jackson sharing with the media this week that it surprised him a little bit against the Bears to find out that linebackers were as fast as they are in this league.
Well, you saw it right there. That little dip move in college hit a scored. But you got some pretty good athletes on the other side, and you have to get used to that. Now, he's still a pretty good athlete. He's going to make that move a couple times and get some big plays. But, yeah, it is understanding that these guys, whoever you played best in your college game, you got 11 of them on the other side of the field.
And with the athleticism that Lamar Jackson brings, you can run the read option. You can run some RPO. It gives Marty Morningwig a lot of different things he wants to do. The Ravens are going to take a timeout. 4:55 to play in the opening quarter. It's the Ravens up 7-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network.
No, I'm going to try to win any way possible. You know, I'm not going to try to run. I'm going to throw the ball or run. You know, like I said, but the game speed is totally different from college. All 11 running to the ball. There's no one back there jogging, you know, trying to take a break. All 11 to the ball. People trying to feed their families. So, yeah, grown man game.
So Eric DeCosta and his scouting team with Ozzie Newsome found Lamar Jackson at that 32nd spot. Ozzie Newsome traded back into the first round to pluck it. And so for Eric DeCosta, Brian, you're looking at arguably the quarterback of the future, Lamar Jackson. It'll be interesting to see how much he can progress this preseason. Flacco's the guy for this year. There is no debate there. On second down, Jackson looking to throw. Pocket collapsing. Throws a little dart complete to Buck Allen. Pops up to his feet. Allen rumbles in. Looking for a signal. We did not hear a whistle. And the signal is touchdown.
Wow, officials are still kind of looking at one another to say, did that hit the ground? I mean, this is going to be a replay. Naturally, any scoring play is going to bring about a replay. And now they're saying, I think that it hit the ground.
Buck Allen made the catch and went to the ground. The question is whether a Rams player touched him or not.
The ruling on the field is the runner was down by contact. Third down.
Okay, so he did make the catch, obviously, and the guy's laying all over him. That one, yeah, that one's a little bit of. That's when, as a coach, you're kind of going, really? What did you not see about 54 laying all over Buck Allen?
Sets up a 3rd and 5. Lamar Jackson, pocket collapsing. He's going to dart. He's going to run inside the 5. Jackson in for the touchdown. Oh, kind of quicks by Lamar Jackson. And that time, I don't care if you're running through a college of defense or a Hall of Fame defense, nobody was going to bring that kid down.
Yeah, this is vintage Lamar Jackson, what he can bring to the table. Again, what have we talked about? Joe Flacco extending a play in that first drive to get the 7-play or the 10-play 70 yards. Now, same thing. He wants to stay in the pocket. He wants to make his reads. But now what he does is once he gets the ball, he's going to look. This isn't a called run, but now I see they're cutting out. Now it's just me. Can I get as much as I possibly can? That little move right there. I mean, this is a guy that obviously is very, very athletic. That kind of extending plays beyond the design of the offense is priceless.
Justin Tucker's extra point is good, and the Ravens in front 14-0. The Geico scoring drive, 5 plays, 73 yards, and here's your touchdown. Lamar Jackson off the scramble.
Yeah, he steps up. Now look, the thing here is he wanted to keep his vision downfield, but once he's committed, that's the good thing. Sometimes when you see, okay, I don't want to have to run the ball, I want to throw the ball down the field, there's a hesitancy, but he instantly transitioned from, okay, nothing down the field, I am now going to take off and do what I do best.
Rams defensive back Troy Hill grabbed a whole bunch of air when he went after Lamar Jackson, who completed that 5-play Geico scoring drive in a little more than 2 minutes. And that's the excitement that Lamar Jackson carried through college at Louisville, brought into the NFL draft, and you see why Ozzie traded up into the first round to go get him. It's a unique talent.
It is, and you know, typically, and he fell to the point where typically you wait and pick him up in the second round. All the movement that goes in the second day of the draft, people trying to move up to that position. Ozzie and his staff wisely said, we're going to get ahead of the curve. We have the ammunition when they drop back from 16 to 25 to get Hayden Hurst, and gave them a great position to get Lamar Jackson with the 32nd pick.
Jojo Natsu with a kick return to the 21 for the Rams. Hey, listen, we always love to see your questions on Twitter. So if you have a question for Coach, just send it our way with hashtag #RavensBooth. Coach will answer your questions as we go through the evening here on our broadcast. Our simulcast, by the way, we welcome you into our simulcast. If you're with us on the TV side or the radio side, the Ravens Game Day Network is presented by Geico. As the Rams now on their second possession, with the Ravens leading 14-0 to the ground game, And again, not much there for the LA running game. Down to the field, Evan Washburn checking in with a future Ravens Hall of Famer.
Yeah, here with Ed Reed. And Ed, we'll get to the Hall of Fame because I have to imagine that was an unreal weekend. But that play you just saw from Lamar Jackson, as a guy who had to tackle some of these scrambling quarterbacks, what comes to mind when you see that type of play?
You got to break down, man. You know, we never really like playing against running quarterbacks. You know, it's always tough. That's a dynamic that you hate to see as a defender in the defense. You know, because you have to prepare for other things that you really don't know what's going to happen, man. That's special. That's a special kid.
I was going to say, his skill set is a unique speed and explosion that he has.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, Lamar, you watch him in college, you know. I mean, it's the NFL now. You know, you got to develop more. I'm sure he will. You know, he's got time. He's young. You know, but like I said, man, that skill set is something. That dynamic is something you didn't want to see. You know, as a defense, it's hard to prepare. You know, there's a lot of other things you got to prepare for when you got a scrambling quarterback.
We saw you last weekend in Canton. That's a place that we're going to see you at some point. What was it like to see Ray go in and have this Ravens fan base sort of envelop him the way they did?
Man, it was awesome. You know, I went as a fan. You know, my thing was to go as a fan to support my brother and see all those other guys going there who I was a fan of, you know, and it was awesome, man. I mean, that brotherhood, those old guys, seeing those guys, the fan support, Ravens came out, was awesome, man.
It's always great to see you, and we'll see you there pretty soon.
Right on, right on. We look forward to it, huh?
All right, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next year could be Ed Reed joining Ray Lewis in Canton. Just 1 year later, they'll be the third Raven player inducted into the Hall of Fame, and a guy who will be there sometime in the not too distant future. Terrell Suggs ending the Rams offensive series with a strip on the pass attempt that forces the Rams a 3 and out. 3 and outs this year brought to you by PMSI, Pest Control Specialist. Pest is a little too light of a word to use for Terrell Suggs, wouldn't you say?
You know, and at 16 years, I was able to sit with him when I did practice for the NFL Network a couple weeks ago. And it just did my heart good to see the maturity that you see in a Terrell Suggs, yet the passion for the game. 16 years he's been doing this and still loves every minute of it.
Ray Lewis, the only Raven who has played longer. Ravens will take the ball back on a punt. Grant fields it at the 28. Flag is down. Grant starts to his right. A little spin move. Extricates himself from the tackle and extends it out to the 34-yard line. The 57-yard punt with a 6-yard return likely to get backed up as Bill Vinovich checks in with his staff for the call.
This has to be something with the gunner where that flag came from on the outside.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 13. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Baltimore ball, first down. Timeout.
That will give Lamar Jackson a longer field to work with. Canton certainly has a place awaiting Terrell Suggs in the not too distant future. 14-0 Ravens, first quarter. Last week when the Ravens opened up the preseason, their first stop was the Hall of Fame in Canton. John Harbaugh and his players delighting in learning and feeling and sharing in the history of this great game. And Terrell Suggs, one of the many Ravens players, captivated by the bust room. You have to wonder if Terrell Suggs doesn't have a bust in waiting next to Ray Lewis down the line, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, two-time Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP, all-decade team. The list of his accomplishments, Brian, go on and on and on. He's one of those few players in NFL history you can refer to by one name, and everybody knows the story.
Yeah, Ray. I don't think there's a player in the NFL, and this is saying a lot, I recognize that is more associated with a team than Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of great players and a lot of teams that obviously that are iconic. But Ray Lewis is and has been the face of the Ravens since its inception.
Talking with Ray last year on the trip to London, he said it wasn't until after he retired that he fully embraced and realized the value of spending his entire 17 years with one franchise. Lamar Jackson will hand it off on first down as Gus Edwards rumbles out to the 28-yard line. A late flag coming from the secondary.
Well, these are just little counter plays. You're going to see the guard pull and kick out. Then you have the tight end leading downfield.
Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 41. Lowering the head to initiate contact. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And that is the first helmet penalty of the night. Let's review that penalty, Brian. It's actually fairly simple. If a player initiates contact with his helmet to any part on his body, it's penalty. It's 15 yards.
Yeah, and it's an extension of what has been around forever. See what you hit, but you have to be conscious. It's for the well-being of the players, and more so for the defenders that find themselves more vulnerable when you lead with the head, particularly the top of the head.
You could almost rename that the Ryan Shazier rule because of the injury he suffered. Lamar Jackson slings it complete across the middle. Anthony Grant breaks a tackle inside the Rams' 35-yard line. A flag is down at the 45-yard line. Talking about the helmet penalty, I'm not sure. We may see one coming up here.
Yeah.
But to walk you through that again, they put a lot of work into this in the off-season to get clarity on eliminating helmet hits from the game. The idea is not to get hitting out of the game. The idea is to get the helmet hit out of the game. Brian, you touched on this. The helmet hit is most dangerous for the player who initiates it, not the player he's hitting.
Personal foul. Defense number 42. Lowering the head, initiating contact. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Rule 12, Section 2, Article 8. You'll never remember that, but you will hear a lot about this penalty throughout preseason and the regular season. If a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with an opponent at any point, any part of the opponent's body, that's the penalty. What do you think of the call, Brian?
Well, no question. Now, was he leading with his head? Did he try to hit with the pads? You know, that's a tough one. That's where the defenders get very, very frustrated, because when you're changing the aiming point, you're changing the target. They understand they want to keep the head out of as well, but it's when they change that target, he goes down like he's going to get tackled, and all of a sudden it creates the head-to-head. I don't know if this last one, he wasn't trying to hit with his head, it just kind of fell that way.
And if you lower your chin and the helmet comes down, you're more likely to pick up the penalty. Puts it in the Grillmates red zone, and Lamar Jackson looking to throw. Has time. Looks to his left, scanning the defense. Now he'll run. Slips out of one tackle, spins his way down to the 11-yard line. And the Ravens looking at a second down and short. Great protection for Lamar Jackson.
And what I like from this, you're going to watch the back on the right here, the way he just chips on that end. That's invaluable for Orlando Brown, the right tackle. I also like this patience. Days past, he might have pulled that down a little bit quicker. He's trying to develop as that pocket quarterback. Try to see that down the field. That is I like that play, even though it didn't yield a lot, because it showed a patience of, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to improve from the pocket.
Under 2 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Jerry Sandusky, the coach. Brian Billick with you live from the Verizon broadcast booth.
Second charge timeout. Baltimore.
And that looked like a classic rookie situation where Lamar wasn't quite sure what Marty Morningwig was calling. Lamar Jackson shared with the media that one of the techniques he's used is standing in front of a mirror in his room to try to pronounce the plays, say everything he's got to go through. And it's a lot for a rookie quarterback to get his head and his mouth wrapped around.
Sure. Look, where he's coming from a system in college football, like everybody looked at the sideline. Everybody sees the play. You turn around, you hand off and draw a trap, or you throw a one-step screen. That's college football. So just the sheer verb, he understands it and he can get it out, but it's the sheer repetitions of the verbiage that he's got. It's like learning a new language, and to be able to articulate it to the players. There's a lot of verbiage in there. That's part of the learning curve for Lamar Jackson.
Check in with Evan down on the field.
And guys, one quick note too, impressive about this drive for Jackson. We're seeing the subs come in at this offensive line. We talked about the lack of depth there. Well, he's doing the most he can with this group.
Throwing on the run is pass intended for Grant, knocked down incomplete along the sideline. Our first Twitter question for Coach as we check in on social media. What do you think is Lamar Jackson's biggest upside?
Well, the athleticism that he has is obviously well documented. We've already seen it in the game. His ability to extend a play, break down a defense, and defenders hate that. Really, for him, the learning curve is just what we talked about: verbalizing an offense, working from within the pocket. This is the NFL. you don't want to lead the lead in rushing. He's been as dynamic as that might be for Lamar Jackson.
Jackson on third down. His pass is dropped by Gus Edwards on the crossing pattern. Not sure if he would have had the first down anyway, and that'll bring the kicking team on as we get a look at Justin Tucker, the field goal try for the first time in this preseason. Ravens had been a perfect 3 for 3 on third down conversions. They'll have to settle for a field goal attempt here on their third attempt to score. A 29-yard try for Justin Tucker. Morton Cox with a snap, Sam Cook with a hold, and Justin Tucker connects on the chip shot. And the Ravens extend their lead to 17-0 in front of the LA Rams. Free sack made by the Ravens during the 2018 season. Constellation will send one group of students to visit the Power Up exhibit at the Maryland Science Center. To learn more, visit BaltimoreRavens.com/sacks for science. Were you a big science guy, Brian? You spent that time at Stanford, so I know you're smart.
Well, I got to hang around some people at Stanford. That was, you know, I was a math guy. I really enjoyed the math. And football is very much a game of math. It's numbers and angles. Right. That's exactly what football is about. So no, I can't say I was big in science, but I did enjoy the math. And right now, Ravens fans are going to be enjoying this math. Not take a PhD. 17-0 in the first quarter. Now, I know the Rams didn't play their starters, but the Ravens, it doesn't matter. That's who was on the field.
Right.
Some people will dismiss this, I'm sure, tomorrow in the paper. And, well, it wasn't against the Rams starters. You know what? We lined up against the people they put on the field, and we've had a pretty good quarter.
Geico scoring drive, 6 plays, 71 yards. Minute 48, Justin Tucker caps it. The Rams are going to bring that one out of the end zone. Kick return to the 25. Nice tackle at the 25 by Kenny Young, a rookie linebacker. So Lamar Jackson, Brian, 2 drives, 10 points.
Nice throw there. That takes a little bit of a touch. Scrambles around. This is vintage Lamar Jackson, particularly down in the red zone. That's darn near impossible to stop as a defense. Able to flick the ball, change the window to deliver the ball. Nice job by Lamar Jackson there.
Rams take possession at their 25-yard line. Ravens defense has dominated them here this opening quarter. Mannion throws across the middle. His pass is incomplete. Good coverage by Marlon Humphrey on the play. It was intended for Josh Reynolds, and Marlon Humphrey in his second season looking to make that next leap. Brandon Carr has the starting spot, or does he? I think that's one of the positions that will be interesting to watch as it unfolds. Is Marlon Humphrey ready to force his way into the starting lineup?
And the good thing about not that there's a good thing about injuries, but when you have players go down, and that allows that second level of player to step up, and that experience that gives them. This is a very deep and talented secondary right now.
Ravens bring a blitz. Rams penetrate with a run game. They'll cross the 30-yard line out to the 33. That's Justin Davis setting up a third down and about 4 for LA in the final minute of the opening quarter here at M&T Bank Stadium. Tonight's Ravens game on the Ravens Game Day Network, presented by Geico. The midday heat has cooled off a little bit. Now it's up to Don Martindale's defense to apply the heat to the Rams on third down and 3 from the LA 32. Sean Mannion out of the shotgun. His pass is incomplete. The coverage that time was Anthony Levine, and once again the Ravens defense forcing the Rams punt team on.
Yeah, and that's a 4-man rush that forced the ball to come out probably a little bit earlier than the quarterback wanted to. You know, the Ravens, we know, are going to be a solid defense. The interior leading, that secondary and what they're able to do. And again, in this circumstance, whether we'll see a little more of the pressure that they've alluded to under Coach Martindale and what he plans on doing. But so far, an excellent start for both sides of the ball.
Janarian Grant deep awaiting the Rams punt. And it's a bad punt off the side of the foot. This one will take a Rams bounce, but it is an ugly punt. And they're going to mark that ball down near midfield. Brian, as we look at the first quarter of the Ravens schedule here in 2018, it opens at home with Buffalo, That is a tough turn to the Bengals on a Thursday night game in week 2.
Yeah, you know, you open up with the Buffalo Bills. We'll see what their quarterback situation is. Is Josh Allen really going to find his way in there? The Bengals should be much improved from last year. The Denver Broncos, picking up Chubb in the draft to go opposite Von Miller, are going to challenge this offensive line in terms of the pressure they can have. And, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. We all know what that represents.
The punt, by the way, marked down at the Rams' 40-yard line. That's where it went out of bounds, an 8-yard punt. I'm not a coach. I don't pretend to know personnel like Ozzie Newsome, but I do know you're not going to make a living very long in this league with 8-yard punts. Lamar Jackson to throw on first down. Blitz pressure coming. Jackson running to his left. Has to heave the ball out of bounds. And that is a no gain that, if you are not as athletic as Lamar Jackson, is a 25-yard loss on a sack.
Yeah, that's a sack. And he's got to learn that obviously the ball's got to get down the field, so it's not intentional grounding. You know, you're going to lose ground only so far, not too many guys. That's the hard thing. If you're going to lose ground as Lamar Jackson, as fast as he is, he's going to lose a lot of ground real quick. So you got to get that ball out.
2nd and 10 for the Ravens at the Rams 40. 15 seconds left in the opening quarter. Ravens in front 17-0. To the ground game. Gus Edwards working off right guard and tackle. Slither through for a pickup of 3. And that is going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. It has been all Ravens here in the preseason home opener for John Harbaugh. Joe Flacco opened up with a touchdown drive, and Lamar Jackson has picked up where Flacco left off. Cause for fireworks here in Baltimore. Patrick Ricard part of the scoring, and Lamar Jackson delighting the crowd on the Ravens game day network. Start of the second quarter at M&T Bank Stadium. Ravens in front of the Rams 17-0. Brian, you can't ask for a much more efficient or effective start to a preseason game at home than what we've seen. Joe Flacco, 10-play drive, got his work done. Then Lamar Jackson comes in and really showing progress from a week ago.
Well, he seemed so much calmer and under control. You know, obviously he did what he does best, made plays with his legs, but he just seemed a little bit more comfortable, and that's a big part of it. Every snap he can take is invaluable for the Ravens in terms of him developing, because obviously once the season starts, he's going to have limited exposure.
And the Rams expose the offensive line on that play, sacking Lamar Jackson back at the 43-yard line, and that means the Ravens will bring the kicking team on, and Justin Tucker is coming on for a 61-yard try.
Why not? You know, let him take this shot. I'm sure he was over in Jerry Rosberg. Hey, I need a good warm up on a good long one. You know what? And there are some boxes you check off in preseason, and this is one of them.
And I exaggerated. It's only 60 yards.
Oh, well, then that makes it a no-brainer. That makes it an easy decision.
You would typically punt here, but when you have Justin Tucker, why not trot him out there? Tucker hit from 29, this from 60. His career long is 61, a game winner a few years ago on Monday night in Detroit. Sam Cook with a hold. Kick on the way. Tucker's kick is long enough. No, just short.
A little more
faded just at the end.
Boy, it was dead on though, wasn't it?
So just shy from 60, and because the Ravens missed, the Rams will get the ball at midfield. Jerry Rosberg, the special teams coordinator, mildly surprised that
what happened?
Tucker didn't hit it. As we take a look at the injury report, still inactive on the physically unable to perform list. Quincy Attaboy Joe, an impressive wide receiver who made a mark last year in camp. Bam Bradley, rookie free agent a year ago, also impressive, but has not been able to get healthy with a knee injury. And Jalen Hill, cornerback who we all thought was going to be something special in this league, has been bothered by knee problems and has yet to get to the practice field, or obviously tonight's game.
Yeah, that last preseason, it was the Jalen Hill story, wasn't it? The way he stepped up with the injuries in the secondary. And that's how you find players.
But it's tough to make this year's team with last year's performance. Rams start their drive at midfield, their best position of this game. Justin Davis sweeping to the left inside the Ravens 40. A flag thrown as Davis runs down to the 37-yard line. A 13-yard gain for the Rams, their longest gain of this game, but a flag could be bringing that back. Ravens starting to make some substitutions now defensively. Kamalei Correa is in there, as is Tim Williams on opposite edges for this Wink Martindale defense. Correa a week ago sensational in Canton. He looked like a guy destined for Canton, not merely a guy playing in
There are two
Canton.
penalties on the play, one on each team. Holding, offense number 84. Personal foul, face mask. Defense number 42. Penalties offset, replay first down.
That negates the Rams' best running play. John Harbaugh saw real progress from Kamalei Correa a week ago in Canton, a third-year linebacker who had been borderline a bust in his first 2 years. A second-round draft pick, hadn't delivered. Do you recall many guys in your career who suddenly found their way in year 3?
Well, there's a maturity level, and particularly in that second and third year, if they don't have it by then I don't know that it's there. You got the sense from John that they're looking for him to follow up now, both in practice and in the game.
Well, his chance here, and back to the run game, and followed up at the 45-yard line of the Ravens is Justin Davis, and it's Kamalei Correa making the tackle. Correa was a guy who seemed a little bit overwhelmed by the complexities of the game at the inside linebacker spot a year ago. He's playing some inside this year. They had moved him primarily to the outside, but he does look more comfortable.
And they did move him around, and that's a fact. Of course, coming from Boise, the thing that they keep talking about, he's just got to continue to improve his technique. His technique has to be better. That transition from recognition to action, and if he can, and whoa, boy,
big hit as the Ravens make penetration on the defensive side. Michael Pierce getting deep in the backfield, and the Rams will lose about 4 on the play, setting up a 3rd and long.
Yeah, this left side over here, you had Tim Williams and Michael Pierce just blow up any chance. The Rams hit that outside play to start the drive, all but with the holding penalty, tried to go to the outside, and that left side of the Ravens defense just stunned it with blowing up the right side of the offensive line for the Rams.
Tim Williams, a 3rd-round pick a year ago, starting to have a big camp this year. Mannion on 3rd down, firing to the far sideline, off the mark. The coverage on the play by Anthony Averett, 4th-round pick in this year's draft class, and once again the punt team coming on for the Rams.
Yeah, Ravens getting good pressure with 4- and 5-man rush, which obviously is a trademark. Both those 3rd downs, the quarterback had to deliver the ball just a step quicker than he wanted to. Needed a little bit more time in the pass rush. They play together. If you get that kind of pass rush, you don't have to cover for as long in the back end.
Janarian Grant will await the Rams punt. Grant had a big punt return in practice this week. Started to showboat, waving a ball in a Rams player's face, and he caught an ear foot by Jerry Rosberg. Grant's going to let this one bounce inside the 5 and head into the end zone for a touchback. So the Ravens offense back on the field when we get back. 2nd quarter, Ravens in front, 17-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network. We've all fantasized about being a superstar athlete with unbelievable gifts. Brian, here's your chance to have that point of view of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, this is on his touchdown run. He's looking down the field, pulls the ball down and run. Very familiar. Now we're going to go down and see exactly what he sees. And when Lamar Jackson sees just one guy in that vision, it's on. There's no way one guy is going to bring this guy down. He's just too good an athlete.
He has such presence with his quickness. He's under control. I think that's the thing that's most remarkable about a young man like Lamar Jackson, is he does play with great control. Jackson hands it off to Gus Edwards, and Edwards slams his way out to the 25-yard line. He'll get 5 on first down. If you can get 5 with your running game on first down, and you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson that can do the read option, the RPO, the rollout, gives Wink Martindale a lot of grief during practice trying to figure it out, but it gives Marty Morningwig a lot of latitude game day with what he will be able to do with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, second medium is always an offensive down. It's to your advantage when you add that next element of a Lamar Jackson. You're exactly right. It can be a nightmare.
Ravens go with a running formation, and Jackson will throw. Launches it far sideline, and he overthrows his target, Patrick Ricard, who was rumbling out near midfield. And that'll set up a third down. Down to the field, and Evan Washburn.
Well, guys, a question for Coach, too, about Jackson. And I think it became a bit jarring when you saw him next to Joe to start camp. Just the physical difference. I'm curious, Coach, what Lamar needs to do over the next year to two to get his body in the position to be able to stand up to a 16-game season if he's going to use his legs as much as he does.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Evan. It does strike you how lean an athlete he is. Now, he's a tough athlete, and he's used to taking the pounding, but not the pounding in the NFL. So obviously he's going to have to bulk up a little bit. You don't want him real big, but to use a John Harbaugh term, he's going to have to callous up a little bit with that size.
And he took a hit there on third down as he tried to escape the pocket. Bounces up to his feet, but the punt team will have to come on as the missed pass to Patrick Ricard on second down comes back to haunt the Ravens on third down. As you watch Lamar Jackson's throwing motion, Brian, I think his arm release is quite good. It's learning how to use his feet and his hips that seem to be the point that he hasn't fully developed yet at this level.
Yeah, that pocket presence that you have to have. He's certainly a good enough athlete to move around in the pocket and to not always be moving forward necessarily when you do scramble in the pocket, to be able to move side to side. We've seen him throw a couple different angles, put his arm in a couple different angles, and that's a good sign.
Sam Cook's punt fielded by JoJo Natson and returned to the Rams 32. Well, the Ravens saw a lot when they scouted Lamar Jackson. Here's their point of view on why he was so attractive when they selected him 32nd in this year's NFL draft. Here's Ravens assistant general manager Eric DeCosta.
Lamar Jackson, explosive athlete, one of the best college players of all time. You know, a guy that can win games with his passing ability, with his athletic ability in and out of the pocket, great field vision, you know, dynamic guy who brings a lot of explosive, big playability to Baltimore. We're very excited about him.
And the thing about they're moving up to get him was you don't just get to that late and go, oh, let's do this to move up. They obviously had a plan. They thought they might have that capability. Nice run to the outside. Getting on the outside.
Davis gets out near midfield with a gain of about 17 on first down before Chuck Clark brings him down.
But to finish my thought, Eric DeCosta, Ozzie Newsome, they obviously had a sense that this could happen, and when they fell back from 16 to 25 to get Hayden Hurst, had the extra ammunition, they had to have a sense that Lamar Jackson would be a highly coveted pick early in the second round, and had the weapons to move up and secure him with the 32nd pick.
And it's a luxury in the NFL to find your next quarterback before you need him. Back to the ground game. Davis off right tackle. This time he'll only get about a yard as he crosses the midfield stripe. Typically in the NFL, Brian, you went through this. You're looking for years for that guy.
Yeah, I'd have taken it when I needed it, not just for the future, you know. But yeah, if you can stare, it's rare that happens, but occasionally. And what is that time frame then going forward? You know, that we'll deal with that. We'll see as the season progresses. But for Joe Flacco, who still is in his prime, so to speak. But yeah, it's a nice option to have.
On second down and 8 from the Ravens 49. Manning being chased by Michael Pierce. Steps up. Now extends the play and heaves the ball incomplete into the Rams bench area. So as we watch Lamar Jackson develop, does his development change the answer to the question, do you keep 3 quarterbacks?
Well, it's vogue in the league right now. You want to keep 2. Because realize now it's quite a luxury to keep the 3rd guy. That 53rd man on the roster, if it's not a quarterback, could easily help you in a number of different positions. You know you're going to need that kind of depth as the season goes on. It is a luxury in the NFL. And so, you know, we talk about the improvement of Lamar Jackson. It's incremental. To, you know, if they could just get to the opening of the season and be comfortable with him as the backup, that would be huge for this team.
Kamale Correa checks in at linebacker. Mannion looking to throw on 3rd down. Heaves it deep. The receiver fell down, almost intercepted by Deshaun Elliott inside the 5-yard line. Elliott tracking like that was a punt, and the Rams for a 4th consecutive series, 3 and outs.
Yeah, the Rams just can't get any rhythm. They puffed off a couple runs. They got to have some vertical shots. I mean, they're down 17-0 here in the 2nd quarter. They got to continue to take those kind of shots beyond just obviously the evaluation of the players they're looking at.
Defensive 3 and outs this year brought to you by PMSI. Talk about timing. Good year to sponsor a 3 and out. Rams punt. Fielded with a fair catch by Janarian Grant. And the Ravens offense will go to work at the 10-yard line. 17-0. Ravens lead it here in the 2nd quarter on the Ravens Game Day Network. Hayden Hurst caught the very first pass from Joe Flacco tonight, and he set the offensive tone.
Yeah, this is just a little dig route on the inside from the traditional tight end. Now you see him out here in front of a play. The athleticism of getting down the field and setting the back up for an additional 10-15 yards.
So as you look at the former South Carolina Gamecock, he only played 1 year of high school football. He walked on at South Carolina after an attempt to play pro baseball with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has drawn extensively on that experience, but he says football's a lot more fun because you react more, you have less time to think, and you can just let yourself be an athlete.
And when we sat down with him the other day, you got the feeling that you were talking to a 4 or 5 year vet, didn't you? There's just a calmness about him. This wasn't too big for him. He wasn't a wide-eyed rookie. He understands what he needs to do and how he has to get better. So you've got a maturity there unique to a young rookie player.
And he said playing pro baseball taught him how to deal with the grind of training camp, the everydayness of being a professional, where you're not going to class, you're not doing anything but that sport, and it really helps to develop. Here's Gus Edwards breaking free across the 20 to the 35-yard line. Hayden Hurst not only enjoying a little success, but enjoying a little camaraderie with veterans. That's a great sign when you see a rookie tight end mixing in with Joe Flacco, Michael Crabtree, and feeling like he's a part of it all.
Yeah, like I said, there was a maturity about this guy that he's going to fit in very readily with the Joe Flacco and Michael Crabtree. You know, the vested veterans on this team that can embrace him that much quicker.
Mark Thompson checks into the game. Little read option as Lamar Jackson keeps it, gets around the corner with a stiff arm, and picks up a couple of yards to the 38. Down to Evan with more on Hayden Hurst.
Well, he has some history to his side as well, being a part of this last draft class for Ozzie Newsome. And he told us a great story about when Ozzie actually called him on draft night. He had some small talk before telling him that he was going to be a Baltimore Raven, asked him what he was doing, and Hayden Hurst just wasn't sure what was going on. Just imagine having that as part of your memory from a Hall of Famer on draft night.
He's one of the few to have that memory because Ozzie does not deliver small talk very often to anyone. Thompson will get the carry right up the middle, and he powers his way across the 35 out to the 47-yard line. That's good for a Ravens first down. It took him about a minute and a half for Hayden Hurst before Ozzie finally got around to telling him, we're going to draft you.
Yeah, Ozzie said first thing was, well, hey, what do you eat? You know, well, okay, well, I just had a liverwurst sandwich, I guess. Is that what you really called me for? But, you know, Ozzie's the best at it. That's a fun phone call. You know, when you make that call, the anxiousness of a player waiting to find out where he's going, and a really good memory.
1st and 10 Ravens at their 47. Lamar Jackson hands it off to Mark Thompson. And Thompson will get a couple of yards out to midfield. Jerry Sandusky, Brian Billick with you live from the Verizon broadcast booth. Preseason home opener at M&T Bank Stadium. Just about 7 minutes left in the opening half. It has been all Ravens in this game, 17-0. The Rams choosing not to play their starters in the first quarter. The Ravens giving their starters Nice 10-play drive to get some work done on offense, and it's been Lamar Jackson ever since. Jackson off the play fake. His pass incomplete. He was looking for the rookie tight end, Mark Andrews.
Yeah, he's talking to Mark Andrews. There was some miscommunication there. Andrews, like we talked about, Hayden Hurst. Here we got Orlando Brown on the right-hand side. That's a big man. Technique is what Orlando Brown's got to work on. He knows that. Doesn't want to get overextended. But it looks like there was a miscommunication. Mark Andrews thought he was blocking downfield, quite frankly, and didn't realize it was the play action. I don't know if he missed a check or what, but Mark Andrews, like a Hayden Hurst, someone they're looking at to see if he can indeed be that guy that can play inside and outside at the tight end position.
Whistles prior to the snap on 3rd down. As Bill Vinovich has the call.
Prior to the timeout, 12 men, defense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That'll be heartening for Lamar Jackson, because he asked me, he said, sometimes, Coach, it looks like there's 12 guys over there, because there's a lot going on. Well, this time there was, Lamar. So you were right.
Good vision by the kid. John Harbaugh making the point that what he was most impressed with in Canton was that on the sideline, when Lamar was in the game, when he would come to the sideline between the series, he wasn't flustered. He was calm.
Yeah, and watching. I mean, and he's going to have to learn to do that, obviously, during the season, because that's where a lot of his learning is going to come.
Keeps it on the read option, gets around the corner, and he stretches for the 1st down. If he gets the spot, they're going to spot it just shy, it appears. Had to get to the 42. They're going to leave this one about a football shy. And I suspect the Ravens might go for it if they do not pick up the 1st down with a measurement.
Now, there again in college, this is a 1st down. There's no question about it. But now, obviously, up at this level, you're going to see the Trayvon Young, who obviously a young man that he recognizes now that this guy's got the athletic ability. In college, that's an automatic 1st down. In the NFL, a little bit tougher.
They are going to measure it. John Harbaugh ready to challenge if he doesn't get the 1st down. The second look appears like he did have the 1st down. They may have just spotted him shy. So if he doesn't get it with the sticks, I think you'll see the red flag from John Harbaugh.
Which is always tough. You know, they always tell you don't challenge on these spots, because we may not have. Here they're showing that it's short, and that's short enough. I don't know what you'd see on the film, because it's always, do you have the camera angle? Is it clear cut? And again, if the ball's going to move on the spot, there's no question. I mean, because officials, they're not computers, they can't get it exactly. But if you don't get the 1st, then you've lost the challenge.
So it's half a football length shy on the mark. And John Harbaugh has thrown the challenge flag, so we'll get our first challenge. You know, the challenge flag in preseason, you might think to yourself as a fan, why do you even bother with it? There's a lot of coordination among coaches between the field and the booth that you want to work some of that out.
There is, and you've got to practice that coordination. Of course, the guys in the booth are constantly, whatever. It's, I can't tell you how many times, on a pass, and it's going, oh, he caught it. And you go with it because you didn't see it, and then you see the replay and it bounced twice. So you've got the guys up in the booth, you're going, guys, come on now. You got to take the emotion out of it, but this is all a part of it as we come back and see if they can convert on this 3rd.
Referee Bill Vinovich with the official review, brought to you by Toyota. Brian, what did you see?
Well, right here you can see that's the key. It's 2 parts to that. When did he go out of bounds? Where was that foot out of bounds? Clearly it's inbound, and the ball is crossing the 1st down marker. So this is where they got to put 2 combinations, 2 looks together to come up with the right call.
Bill Vinovich has done his review.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. It'll be 4th down.
Holy mackerel.
Charge, the 3rd and final timeout.
Yeah, that one, well, maybe he didn't have that view. And that's hard because the official's got to stand there, because the guy in New York told him.
Right.
I don't know why they still have him looking at the pad, because you've got that set of eyes in New York to where they can
basically say yay or nay. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have that view, but that looked pretty solid to me, that his foot was still in bounds when he reached out across that 42-yard line.
New York's interplay on the replay is an intriguing thing because you don't know what is actually being said. In theory, the referee has some input on it, but at the end of the day, New York has final word.
Yeah, well, less than you think.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they've got that, and that's what it's for, and that's the routine they've gotten into. Not perfect. Be interesting to visit with someone to realize, obviously, whether they can convert, how they come to that decision. And then the whole time the Ravens are going, okay, we're going to go for it anyway.
So it's 4th down and inches.
Typically, you just wedge this. I mean, why would you put it on the edge or hand it back 6 yards to get an inch? Pretty athletic guy. Why would you not just wedge it?
They give it to the up back. Gus Edwards pinballs his way inside the 40, and that is good for a Ravens first down. The answer to the question of why you wouldn't wedge it, if I'm making the call, is the fewer times Lamar Jackson gets hit, the better to me.
Good point.
In preseason.
And they ran the potential. He could have pulled that out and run that pitch, true option down the line. He adds that element to it. So
John Harbaugh sees his offense extend the series. Leading 17-0. Lamar Jackson throws complete to Vince Mailey, the tight end. Works his way down to the 30-yard line of the Rams with an 8-yard gain. As we look at Lamar Jackson's throwing release point, he moves his arm slot around based on what the defense gives him. That's got to be just instinct, I would think.
Yeah, look how he comes out of this blind, but look at it, gets his feet set, nice follow through, and a very catchable ball that allowed the ball carrier to catch the ball, secure it, turn upfield, and get extra yards.
He is a game player. He has done nothing but tight spirals here in this game. And that has been a problem for him in practice. Gives to Gus Edwards, slams along the right, hash mark for a first down. No controversy on that one. It'll put the ball at the Rams' 28-yard line.
Now, what you'd like to see here, obviously, however you can get the score, and they'd love to pound it in and see some athleticism, but this would be a great area. I'd like to see a shot to the end zone, something vertical to where he can make the read, see where the defense is. Do they have to drop the guy down in the box to stop the run and account for a running quarterback? And does that give you a shot down the field?
Jackson takes that shot, throwing to the end zone, far side, incomplete. He was looking for a fellow member of the rookie class, Jaleel Scott. Well covered on the play. It'll be second down.
And good timing. So often a quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback, will wait too late to throw that ball and try to strong arm it. He had great timing on that, gave the receiver a chance, whether this was defensive holding or not, but that was a very catchable throw if the receiver could have got a little bit cleaner release.
Brings 3 receivers to the left. Inside handoff, Gus Edwards, powerful runner, forces the issue to the 25-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 8 coming up. Just under 5 minutes left here in the opening half on the Ravens Game Day Network, presented by Geico. And a whistle at the end of the play. As both teams make substitutions, Lamar Jackson will head over to pick up the play call from Marty Morningwig. The thing with Jackson that really strikes you is he looks like a rookie quarterback in training camp and practice. He's inconsistent. The pass wobbles out of his hands. In the game, he has a certain level of poise you can't teach.
Well, it's simpler in the game now. You're not seeing as much. You've got a specific game plan. It's boiled down as compared to the whole offense. The looks that you're going to see defensively, particularly early, it's probably a lot easier for him right here.
His pass sails incomplete that time. He was looking for Janarian Grant over the middle. And Lamar Jackson put that one high, so the kicking team will come on. And Justin Tucker will try his 3rd field goal attempt. This one will be a 43-yarder, which will seem like a chip shot compared to the 60-yarder he came up just a little bit shy on. Tucker hit on 29. He missed it 60. This a 43-yarder. Tucker's kick is on the way, and it is good. 4:30 left to play. It's the Ravens 20 and the Rams nothing.
Well, you got to check out the new Maryland Lottery Ravens multiplier scratch-off games. You can multiply your prize up to 10 times and win up to $100,000 instantly. I told you I like math. I like that math.
And I've got one right here for you. Ravens times 5. Hey, there's great second chance prizes too, like cash, Ravens season tickets for 20 years, or a trip to travel with the team to Atlanta or Kansas City. You can buy the Ravens multiplier scratch-offs at your favorite Maryland Lottery retailer today. They gave me a couple of these.
Well, so what do? You just scratch off, and all right. If we hit here, who gets the money?
I think we split it.
You're right. 70-30. I love it. I love the idea.
70 for me because you have a boat and I don't. You can tell the guys who spent a lot of time in the NFL, everything's a negotiation.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Joe Flacco negotiated this offense right down the field on the opening possession, a 10-play drive. That was his night's work. And unlike a year ago when the offense had all kind of questions, they're delivering some answers so far this summer. Rams are going to bring the kick out of the end zone across the 15 to the 20. And to the 25-yard line. Flag is down as JoJo Natson completes the return for the Rams. Well, 2 of the penalties we have seen have been illegal helmet hits.
During the return, personal foul, low block, receiving team number 46. Half the distance to the goal, Los Angeles ball, first down.
Been a lot of talk in the rule change for the kickoff as we have now watched that evolve over the last several years to where it's almost designed more like a punt now. They've taken a lot of the violence out of the kickoff.
Yeah, but and I think we're going to see more returns because with the new rule where you can't get a running start. So that's going to slow down the coverage team a little bit and give you more of an opportunity to return.
Rams will start the drive at their 13. Dive play up the middle. Get about 4 yards. Second down at 6 coming up. Lamar Jackson taking the snap since Joe Flacco and the offense engineering a touchdown drive on their first possession. The Geico scoring drive, 13 plays, 62 yards. Justin Tucker capped it with a 43-yard field goal. On second down, Mannion looking to throw off the play fake. His pass is caught at the 20-yard line and spinning forward with a first down for the Rams. To Merrick Hemming. Kenny Young, 4th-round draft pick out of UCLA, who has been impressive in training camp and has played his way very much into Wink Martindale's plans at that inside wheel linebacker spot. Could easily see a scenario where he shares playing time with Peanut Owasso, last year's starter.
Yeah, he's more of an athletic linebacker as opposed to that thumper. But that athleticism in today's game, that has, even if it's just a nickel, has some real value.
Sean Mannion off the play fake throws, intercepted. Maurice Kennedy up on his feet inside the 40-yard line, and he'll return it to the 33-yard line of the Rams. Maurice Kennedy, the 3rd-year player out of Virginia, 6th-round pick in 16, and an impact player tonight.
Well, there was nothing underneath Kennedy to keep him from it. Mannion just didn't see him. He was looking at that crossing route by the tight end. You're going to see him come all the way across the field, and he does not see that trap corner. You see this all the time. He kind of abandoned the flat route and trapped the quarterback into this interception.
An athletic move to pull it down and then return it to the 33-yard line, where Lamar Jackson and the offense have a chance to put more points on the board. Leading 20-0 with just under 3 minutes to play here. And if you don't think preseason counts, why else would he be holding on to that football? Backs in the power position. Gus Edwards will stretch forward just back to the line of scrimmage.
The next time we see a single back where it leads to that zone option or read option, Lamar Jackson's going to keep the next one. That's my prediction, because they've run 2 of those and they've left nothing on the outside. They've been collapsing. They've gotten a little yardage on the inside. If we see one here, it'll be interesting to see if he doesn't indeed keep it and get around the edge.
On a passing situation, the Rams will run it. And again, Gus Edwards with not much room. He'll get maybe a yard. It'll set up a 3rd down and long from the 32-yard line of the Rams.
We are going to see one of those, because like that play as well, he could have kept that to the outside. It would have been a big game. But I like the fact that if I'm looking at Lamar Jackson, as many 3rd downs as I can put him in, and even in a 3rd and long, you know, I want to see how he orchestrates a 3rd and medium. We know he can run around, adds a dimension to it, but the 3rd and long, I like the fact that he's in these 3rd and longs.
Brings us to the 2-minute warning. It's been all Ravens here in the first half at M&T. Ravens 20, Rams nothing on the Ravens Game Day Network. First round draft pick Lamar Jackson, the former Heisman Trophy winner. He's had a lot of fun so far in the NFL, and he's been a lot of fun to watch. Brian, as you take a look, you've been calling for him to keep the ball because the edge isn't honoring what he can do.
Yeah, and Wade Phillips maybe has listened to us talk, because they are kind of staying home here. I still think he could have got to the outside edge. The last couple times they crashed down, so it's a bit of a guessing game. At some point it's got to be, we'll crash and take the chances he's not going to keep it, or we're going to stay home because at some point he's going to pull it out and keep that thing out around the edge.
4 of 11 passing after hitting his first 3 passes of the night. On 3rd down, Jackson throws a strike to the 25-yard line. That's going to be shy of the first down. Janarian Grant on the reception, and once again we are going to see the kicking game, but this time it will not be Justin Tucker, it will be Corey Vedvik. The Rams use their first timeout.
And Lamar Jackson kind of shook his head after that. He made a quick read, and he recognized that they're going to give you that all day on 3rd and long and then rally up and make the play. Not that that's a bad throw. At some point you've got to catch the ball and make a play, but I think he knew there might be a better play down the field rather than get the ball out too quickly and let the defensive team rally up and make the stop.
Remember that split we had 50-50 that you wanted 70-30 on our lottery winning?
Okay, all right.
I'll give you the 70-30 if you can pronounce the hometown for Corey Vedvik from Norway. You can even show Brian the name of the town. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me see. Norway. All right, I'm in.
50-50 it is on those lottery winnings.
Stavanger.
I'll take Stavanger for 500, please. From 43-yard line, the kid from Stavanger right through the middle. And I don't care what language you're speaking, that is good. Corey Vedvik drills the field goal in the shadow of Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker all kind of happy for the rookie free agent out of Marshall. Corey Vedvik is a kid with an extremely strong leg. That is an effortless swing that punches a 43-yarder through. And Justin Tucker right there, #1 of the fan club. Justin Tucker, Sam Cook, Morgan Cox have all told me they think Corey Vedvik can kick in this league, and because he's both a kicker, a punter, and a kickoff specialist.
That's a huge combination.
He's not most likely not going to stick with the Ravens for obvious reasons, but much like we saw Will Lutz try out for the Ravens a couple of summers ago, and now he's a absolute rock steady member of the New Orleans Saints. I think you'll see Corey Vedvik in the league this year.
There's such a need for guys that have that aptitude. If he can add that dimension to it, somebody's going to pick him up.
Vedvik's kickoff fielded at the 5, brought across the 15, the 20, and a big hit at the 20-yard line by Alvin Jones, one of the rookie free agents who has caught the coach's attention in this year's training camp.
Yeah, and that's where at the point of that game in particular, where a guy like Alvin Jones has got to make those kind of plays to make this club. Jerry Rosberg is going to have a lot to say about that 50th, 51st, 52nd, and 53rd player on this team. Nice job.
Big tackle, big athleticism, and he limits the Rams inside their 25-yard line, which is always a win for the kicking team. Jerry Sandusky, the coach. Brian Billick with you live from the Verizon broadcast booth, where the Ravens lead at 23-0. Final 2 minutes of the half. Mannion with time, pumps once, escaping and heaving the ball to the Ravens bench area. Brian, you bring up the topic of special teams. A lot of the guys who come into this league as rookies were stars in college, so they didn't play a lot of special teams. What do they have to learn? What's most difficult for them to learn?
Well, what'd you hear Ed Reed say about the touchdown run? You got to be able to break down in the open field. That's more difficult than it sounds. Once you get into that breakdown position, you got to be able to move laterally from one side to the other. Once you get there, you have to have the upper body strength like we saw in that last play in order to be a good special team.
Rams jump the gun. They'll get backed up 5. And of the 53-man roster,
Ball start. Offense number 64. 5-yard penalty. Still second down. There's no 10-second runoff as the clock was stopped.
When you talk about keeping 3 quarterbacks, that likely means you're going to lose somebody at special teams.
And that's huge. Again, and that's the constant debate. Of course, John Harbaugh made his licks in this league as a special teams coach, so he's going to have a special appreciation for what those conversations are. Jerry Rosberg, oh boy, yeah, this is getting into one of those.
Ball start.
But Jerry Rosberg knows he's got an advocate in John Harbaugh that understands the nature of the makeup of a roster.
Offense number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And that's a special talent. Jerry Rosberg, one of the best. You got to, when you look at talent, you got to look outside the blinders of, okay, how good a linebacker, how good a tight end, how good a receiver is he. He may never be a starter in this league, but you have the kind of athleticism. You're talking about a guy that's going to ostensibly take maybe 15 to 20 snaps in a game. That's a lot.
Second down and long for the Rams. With pressure coming, Mannion pass is deflected and falls incomplete as we continue the thoughts of special teams down to the field on Evan.
Well, guys, you mentioned how John Harbaugh's roots are in special teams. It's always fun when you're on this sideline to see his passion for coaching that in-game. Earlier, Gus Edwards got held on a play and not knowing exactly what the coaching technique was, but just to see the way that John passionately gets with a young guy to give him that edge, that extra bit of knowledge that might help him the next time out to help him make this team. That special teams coaching him has never gone away.
3rd and 20 for the Rams. Justin Davis in the backfield. He'll get the carry. And Davis will be drilled into the turf at the 20-yard line, and that brings the punt team on for the Rams. With 1:26 left in the half, clock running. Do you play 2-minute drill here to try to give Lamar Jackson some 2-minute experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you're only going to get so many snaps, and you may get through the rest of preseason and not have an opportunity to work 2-minute. They worked 3 2-minute sessions in their sessions against each other on Monday and Tuesday. You'd love to get Lamar Jackson some snaps here to see how he handles it.
With Jackson at the helm, the Ravens have scored a touchdown, hit a field goal, missed a field goal, punted, and then hit 2 more field goals. So it's been a productive run tonight for the rookie, former Louisville Cardinal. Janarian Grant will settle under the punt at the 33. Sidestep one tackler, has a little bit of room, weaves his way across the 45 and gets all the way out to the 48-yard line. Nice return by Janarian Grant. 16-yard return on the 47-yard punt, but a flag is down.
Well, this could be huge if you can add this to the end of the run, if it indeed is against the Rams.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 58. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Baltimore ball, first down.
So Alvin Jones makes a great special teams play on the kickoff and then a penalty on the punt.
Yeah, that's tough, and that backs it up. But now it's really, this is all about what you get on first down, because you don't want to put the young man in a position where he's forcing the ball down the field. But if you can get something, maybe you run a draw, maybe you throw a quick route underneath and see if a player can get yards after the catch, something to get you going, to give you an opportunity. Again, you know, Justin Tucker is a kicker. We may see one of those 60-yard attempts again if you can get a chunk of yardage.
Lamar Jackson 81 yards passing here in the first half. He does not have any timeouts to work with. The Ravens lost the timeout on the failed challenge attempt. So he has 78 yards to go. Well, under a minute to work with. 40 seconds left in the half. They'll have to work the sidelines, and they'll have to work quickly to try to get his kicker in place for another field goal try or break one over the top. He's got some speed to work with. Khalil Scott, rookie wide receiver, split wide to the left. Jackson throws the screen. Mark Thompson has some blockers, crosses the 30, 40, all the way up to midfield, and he gets out of bounds. A terrific play by the rookie out of Florida.
Nice call, nice timing by Lamar Jackson, waiting, timing it out, just getting the ball out. Needs to work more to the outside, get out of bounds whenever possible, fights through it, and indeed gets out of bounds. Now you got a whole lot of options here, particularly with Lamar Jackson. No timeout, so a lot of it's got to be to the outside because you still have to get out of bounds to preserve the clock.
Ball is at the Rams 49. Ravens in front 23-0. Jackson looking over the middle. His pass is complete to Jaleel Scott at the 40-yard line. They'll mark him down to the 41. Clock is winding. 20 seconds left in the half. And Jackson turfs the ball, stopping the clock with 16 seconds left in the half. In training camp, you work on the 2-minute drill practically every day. But to do it in a game in front of a crowd under the lights, that's the kind of practice that you really have to make the most of.
Now we'll see, because you're on that edge if you want to kind of take this long kick. If this were a real game, 16 seconds, you got to have what we used to call our bingo field goal team, which says we're not going to have the time if we run the ball to get up and kill it. Now you might, depending upon the nature of it, if you run the ball, but you got to be ready to run your field goal. This is what preseason's about. Can you get your bingo, I'll use the term that I was familiar with, to get on the field to get a field goal attempt off.
Jackson to throw with 15 seconds left in the half. He steps up, his pass is incomplete. A flag down at the 35 and the 25. Looks like a holding call coming up.
Holding. Defense number 47. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Okay, so now you're in a great spot. You've got that. You can just see here on that.
This is Lamar's first
touchdown
drive when he put it in the end zone by himself. Not a luxury he can really lean on here, because if he runs with 11 seconds to go and doesn't get in the end zone, then you come away with no points. You're in field goal range, so that's something the rookie has to be aware of.
Yeah, this is where it's got to be pretty much the outside, because you don't have time to run that bingo field goal I was talking about. If it's inside or he runs the ball, then that half is over.
He's going for the end zone, puts it up top to the far corner, incomplete. There was a bit of collision there as Jordan Lashley went to the turf before the ball came down. No flag forthcoming.
Yeah, and that's one compared to the shot that we saw earlier that I was so impressed with. This one was a little flatter. You know, the legs get caught up. You don't see the ball, but late. Needed a little bit more air on that. Might have even got the call if he's slow enough to catch the ball. That thing's look like, you know, again, that's a little bit more of a flat out of bounds throw by Lamar Jackson. Even if he'd have been able to stay up, it would have been out of bounds.
So with 4 seconds left in the half, Corey Vedvik attempting a 53-yard field goal try from the left hash mark. Vedvik, his kick is up and it is wide to the right, no good. And that brings us to halftime. Coach, your thoughts on what looked like a pretty solid first half of the Ravens?
Yeah, I don't know that you could have had a better first half, not only in the productivity, but the players you got to look at. You get to move down the roster a little bit. You got a lot of snaps for Lamar Jackson's that it's absolutely invaluable. This could not have gone any better for the Ravens in this their first home preseason game.
And so they head to the locker room with the Ravens in front of the Rams. 23-0. Joe Flacco delighting the owner and the coach, and Reed delighting the crowd. And the Ravens have been the story as they lead it at halftime on the Ravens Game Day Network. Justin Tucker and Corey Vedvik, 3 of 5 on the field goal front. Tucker has been clean inside of 60. His only miss was at 60, and that's part of the Ravens' dominance tonight. 23-0 in front of the LA Rams. So the offense has been led dominantly by Flacco and RG3, who we'll see in the second half here, but Lamar Jackson in the first half. The Ravens have dominated every phase of this game, Brian. Rushing, total plays, passing yards. Don't often see 184-3.
Well, total plays. That's, you know, you're on a pace for a 90-snap game. I don't know that we'll get that to that tonight, the way the second half's going in preseason. But that's about as dominant a spreadsheet as you can have.
So now RG3 will take over to start the second half. He looked sharp last week in Canton, his first game action in more than a year. Set down to the field with Evan Washington and more on RG3 in his second game as a Raven.
Well, Jerry, I got some time with RG3 just walking the field in pregame, just getting a sense of where his head's at and what this experience has been like. And we covered a lot of things, but he really feels comfortable in this building and with this quarterback room. And look, he realizes the reality of the situation, that it's going to be a long shot for them to keep 3, but he feels like after a year away from football, he's really put himself in a position to make a difference here or somewhere else, because the tape he's put on the early in the preseason has been strong.
And he's not an old guy either. He's a 6-year veteran. How often do you have the other Heisman Trophy winner in your quarterback room? He's kind of the overlooked. He was Offensive Rookie of the Year when he came into the league. He really did the RPO, the read option, all of those things until Haloti Ngata wrenched his knee.
Yeah.
And that really took his career in a different direction.
And you talk about a mentor for Lamar Jackson. If nothing else, to look at an RG3. When you look at RG3, he is much more solidly built than a lot of people give him credit for. Certainly more so than Lamar Jackson. And we talked earlier in the show, you know, about, okay, Evan mentioned it. Where do I got to go? I got to get like this. I got to beef up a little bit, like I see in RG3. Because even with that, he got hurt.
Corey Vedvik's kick is taken out across the 20 to the 23-yard line, where the Rams offense will go to work. The Rams offense a non-factor in the first half, so Wink Martindale has to feel good about the effort of not only his veterans on the first drive, but also some of the younger players, some of the rookie free agents, guys like Alvin Jones, who are trying to make a mark for Wink Martindale's defense. Brian, you went through this when you became a position coach to a coordinator. We talk about players making the leap. What's the challenge you, as a coach, you face going from assistant position coach to a coordinator?
Well, and he's done it before, and he knows the view. It's you know, the legendary Bill Walsh always related, made the analogy of admiring a work of art. By that I mean when you look at a work of art, if you're a position coach, you're standing right up to it. You can see the texture and the nuance of it. When you become a coordinator, you got to step back a little bit, so you see the bigger perspective, a larger view. You miss some of the subtlety of it. So his relationship with the players, which is so special, you got to maintain it, but it's hard because you're just a little bit more separated. Then, of course, when you become a head coach, then you really step back and have to work hard to work through those levels. He's done that before. The players really enjoy playing for him, and he's going to have to walk that dance all year long between the bigger perspective versus the smaller nuance of being a position coach.
Brandon Allen takes over at quarterback, hands it off to John Kelly. Kelly won't get anything on the play. The Rams looking at a 3rd down and 4. When you're the head coach, you mentioned coming back from the artwork. Now you're standing outside the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
I got to see it all. You know, I got to have that bigger view. And it's hard because you've cut your chops, so to speak, on being that position coach and having that relationship, and the players like that relationship with Coach Martindale. But it changes when you become the defensive coordinator.
This is an organization that has had nothing but success with its defensive coordinators, all homegrown since Marvin Lewis was the first one under Ted Marchibroda and Brian Billick, winning in Super Bowl 35. Allen's pass, nice catch at the 36-yard line. That'll extend the drive for the Rams. Coming down with the grab, great name, Pharaoh Cooper. And of course, for Don Martindale, the next challenge becomes the segue from preseason to the regular season, where he does have 1 year as a defensive coordinator, that back in '09 with the Denver Broncos. He's been with the Ravens. Before that, the Broncos, the Raiders, college as well, Western Kentucky, Western Illinois. I think it's great for coaches to have college experience now, because
absolutely.
So many college offenses have become part of the NFL offense. It helps if you've coached against them. 1st and 10 Rams at the LA 36. Allen under pressure. Flag is down as he has to turf the ball at the 30-yard line. Brandon Allen, a 3rd-year quarterback out of Arkansas. Looked like he had a police escort running towards the sideline. He had so many Ravens with him.
Holding. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
This is the point in preseason games where flags start to come up. Guys make mistakes. You hope it doesn't interrupt the flow of this game. It's been a game that's had great flow for the Ravens offensively and defensively. And while the win won't mean anything after you go back to practice, it does change the climate of your training camp when you put together a series of wins.
There's no question that you when you come back into practice and you look at the film, you've won the game, you've played well. The whole demeanor of that next week, and they've got kind of a unique gap here between now and the next preseason game on the Monday night against the Indianapolis Colts. So they've got a long time between now and the next game, and coming off a good solid performance, if indeed this holds up. I mean, it is a good solid performance. Doesn't matter what happens here in the second half. But you also have a lot of players out there now that are trying to make a name for themselves. Sometimes you kind of get a little loose, as you know, the saying goes, there's rules and then there's guidelines, to do my Johnny Depp imitation here. You're going to try to stay within the guidelines, but you don't want to be beat, and you're going to take every advantage you can so you can look good.
On second down and 8 for the Rams. Brandon Allen, a swing pass out of the backfield. John Kelly has it and steps out of bounds after a short gain. John Harbaugh seeing good play from Kenny Young, and here's what the rest of the preseason is looking like for the Rams, or the Ravens rather. After the Rams tonight, it's the Colts a week from Monday night. They'll also have some joint practices in Indy, then on the road at Miami before finishing up here at M&T Bank Stadium on August 30th with another of our simulcasts against the Washington Redskins. And then it's shifting into high gear for the season opener at home against the Buffalo Bills. Third down and 6 coming up for the Rams. John Kelly in the backfield with Brandon Allen. See if the Ravens bring one of their Wink Martindale blitzes. Here it comes. Allen's pass is dropped by Pharaoh Cooper at the 35-yard line. The coverage on the play, Darius Williams, and that forces the punt team on for the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know if Williams didn't get a hand on that a little bit. Good coverage. You know, that's the tough thing for the young DBs to know. Just stay alive. Go to the end. You're not beat until you're beat. Okay, until the guy catches the ball. So just stay alive. Sometimes that body presence is enough to get a receiver to drop the ball.
The other thing that has to be challenging for rookie free agents in this camp with a 12-player draft class is not cutting yourself. Not playing the numbers game, but just give it your best shot. Janarian Grant with the fair catch. And we'll get our first look at RG3 when we come back. Third quarter at M&T Bank Stadium. Ravens in front of the Rams. 23-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network. We expected to see RG3 to start the half, but Lamar Jackson will make the turn, and he'll be first at quarterback here in the third quarter after playing for most of the first half.
I'm fine with that. Boy, you take every snap possibility you can for the development of this young man, because once you get to the regular season, you know, things willing, he's not going to see a snap outside of maybe some special situational things they have. Every snap he gets, he goes, you know, the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. He's got to get his 10,000 hours in the NFL before he's really called upon to step in and be the guy.
When do you know a quarterback is ready as a coach?
You know, Bill Walsh always felt like you're going to know by that 22nd, 23rd, 24th start. You know, that if it wasn't by then, that doesn't mean it doesn't show up earlier, but if it doesn't show up by then it's not there. You know, when the game begins to slow down, I joked earlier that, you know, he said, you sure there's not 12 guys over there? When it begins to, you recognize, no, there are 11 guys out there, you know, and I know where they're going. When the thing starts to slow down a bit, then you got a sense of what you may have.
Lamar Jackson will throw on first down. His pass is incomplete, in and out of the hands of Jordan Lastly. 5th-round draft pick out of UCLA. And we focus so much on the rookie quarterback. 2 rookie wide receivers on this year's class. Jaleel Scott.
Well, you got what you wanted. Yeah, the play. Look at the linebacker step up. Huge hole in behind you. You can see the linebacker raising his hands, trying to get to affect the play. Yeah, the receiver betrayed him. That's one of those dangerous ones that comes off his hands and maybe goes up and gets intercepted.
Inside handoff to Gus Edwards, who rips across the 20-yard line out to the 24, and that is good for a first down. But a flag is down back at the 15-yard line. Boy, that's the kind of drop that just deflates an offense right out of the gate. You get what you want. The quarterback delivers it. And now a play later, a penalty, and you're in reverse.
Right. It's like the penalty in the drive, and overcoming a penalty in the drive is, you know, it's exponentially.
Holding. Offense number 64. Half to this to goal. Repeat, second down.
Greg Sennett, 6th-round draft pick out of Wagner, picking up the flag.
There's some digit dome out there will tell you exactly what the odds are, but if you get a penalty inside of a drive, again, it just, you know, disproportionately makes it tougher than to keep that drive alive. And now you're sitting here at a 2nd and 15 after a drop and a penalty. That's a bit of a hole to make your way out of. Maybe see a screen like we saw at the beginning of the 2-minute drill.
Set a flag and a whistle.
False start. Offense number 71. Half to this is the goal. Still second down.
A couple of snaps for young players. Yeah. First a rookie in Sennett and a 2nd-year player in Jermaine Illuminor. Illuminor expected to make the big leap this year. The rookie year as an offensive lineman tends to be a little bit of being overwhelmed throughout much of the season, but they are looking for Illuminor to settle in and become a much more consistent player here in year 2. Instead, he picks up a flag, and now he has Lamar Jackson in his own end zone, handing it off. Big hit as Gus Edwards is leveled at the line of scrimmage. And the Ravens are going to be looking at 3rd and just get enough yards so that Sam Cook doesn't have to punt with his heels on the back line of the end zone.
And this is, as much as I talk about learning opportunities, it's not one you particularly relish. I'm sitting here at 3rd and 20. But again, it's another opportunity for a quarterback. How are you going to handle this? Okay, you got to be. They know where the first down marker is. You got to be careful not to force the ball beyond it. You're likely going to have to throw the ball underneath the chains and let somebody make a play. Let's see if he has the maturity to make that kind of throw.
Jackson to throw out of his own end zone, floats it down the middle, and it's almost intercepted. In and out of the hands of Rams defender Nate Holley. So Lamar Jackson gets away with one there as he was looking for his rookie tight end Mark Andrews, and that brings on Corey Vedvik for a chance to bulk up his resume. What did you think of that throw selection?
Well, again, just what we said. It's a learning opportunity. Okay, I think in looking at it, I don't know if that was the place to go. The ball was flat. Remember the throw down in the end zone? We thought the deep ball was flat. That's the toughest thing for a young quarterback to learn. That touch, particularly at those 2nd-level throws, and kind of falling apart here now on both sides. Let's back him up a little bit more.
The long snapper on the play
didn't snap the ball.
False start. Offense number 67. Half to this is the goal. Still 4th down.
Trent Sieg, a rookie free agent out of Colorado State, making a vintage rookie mistake. He moved the ball back and then didn't release it. Everybody else moved, seeing the ball move, but the punter never got the ball. These are the basics. These are the things that drive coaches nuts because they've been working on them for a couple of weeks now. Vedvik with not much room to punt. He uncorks a pretty one, though. Backs the returner up to the 43-yard line of the Rams. And is flipped off his feet at the 47-yard line. A 56-yard punt. Mark Thompson on the coverage.
Yeah, this is the open field tackle. What do we say? Ability to break down an open field, be strong enough in the upper body. He was on that play. Some friends come up to the game, and ticket people were great. Baker and Koppelmeyer did a great job of setting me up, and that's the first time I realized I had that app. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice way to go.
Just giving away our tickets, and all you had to do was go onto the app, put in somebody's email address, boom. No more meeting people. Once we had to give away some tickets. My wife said, "Where should we meet them?" I said, "I'm going to meet them by the Johnny Unitas Ray Lewis statue area." never being out there before a kickoff, always being at work.
Where was that?
She said, let's find a better place next time. Now you know where to find it. The better place is at the Ravens app.
We'll do this on when we do the Miami game, because that'll be before the last preseason game here against the Redskins. I'll use the telestrator. We'll telestrate the app so people aren't intimidated.
Nice.
We'll show them how to get that done.
Good call. Oval Tickets, the new era in Ravens 2018. First and 10 Rams at their 47. John Kelly on the carry will go up about midfield as the Ravens run defense stout on that play. When it comes to run defense, two words come to mind: Brandon Williams. What a difference. Last year, with Williams in the lineup for 11 games, the Ravens gave up fewer than 80 yards per game. Without Williams, when he was hurt for 5 games, they gave up 160 yards per game. That is one man who makes an enormous difference, both physically and I would say emotionally too. They rally around him up front.
Well, that presence on the inside. I mean, our 2000 Super Bowl team, when you had Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams anchored on the inside, Haloti Ngata in the second Super Bowl, and when you have that kind of anchor inside, what that opens up for your linebackers and your secondary, you just can't overstate it.
John Kelly is buried by Patrick Ricard, and in today's day and age, Brandon Williams thrilled to see the hit by Ricard. It isn't often in the same game you have a receiving touchdown and a tackle in the running game.
Well, we talked about it. It's hard to keep a fullback on the roster, because if you keep one, you got to keep two. If you have a lot of 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 receiver, or 1 tight end, then if you lose that one fullback, you've lost a big part of your offense. But you have a guy that gives you other options, and you can put him in that fullback position like we saw in the goal line touchdown. That's huge.
Tackle by Patrick Ricard puts the Rams in a passing situation on 3rd down. Big blitz pressure, and Tim Williams with a strip sack, ball loose at the 35-yard line. And the Ravens recover. Tim Williams, the second-year edge rusher out of Alabama, who has had a terrific training camp, bring in the heat and forces the turnover that the Ravens will cash in on now.
Yeah, you're going to see this coming off that edge, and you could just see this was the quarterback was looking to the left, had no idea. Again, the tackle opened up, nice dip move. We saw that earlier in the first half, and did a nice job. The tackle got turned, and the quarterback had no idea. You could see him getting by. This is if there's such a thing as a blindside shot from your throwing side, that was it.
And now RG3 will come into the game and have great field position to work with at the Rams 36. So the thinking for Marty Morningwig and John Harbaugh with not having him start right out of the gate, is that just to teach Lamar Jackson how to make the turn at halftime?
Evidently, to come out and see, to make whatever adjustments you were going to make at halftime, take it on the field. Obviously, he was victimized by a drop and a penalty, but that had to have been the thinking.
Gus Edwards carries off left tackle for a couple of tough yards to the Rams 34-yard line. And now RG3 just saw his numbers. His career was off to an absolutely electric start. When the Ravens played in Washington, his collision with Haloti Ngata literally knocked his career off course.
Because he was making the progression of that guy that could do some things from the pocket. A little bit like we talked about Deshaun Watson in Houston and what everybody's waiting to see him do this year. He has the throwing stroke.
And he completes it to Brashad Perriman down to the Rams 15.
But you knew that was going to be the problematic thing, is could he stay healthy? I want you to watch his stroke here as he gets back. He sees it very quickly. He sees the angle, gets it up quickly. He didn't have to get all the way up into the drop. Very accurate. That allowed the receiver to catch the ball. This is the kind of accuracy where he caught the ball just at helmet high, allowed him to tuck it and turn it upfield. You know, accuracy is not just being able to get the ball to the receiver, but put it in a place that gives them an opportunity to make more yards.
Gus Edwards will carry the Grillmates red zone, and he barrels down to the 13-yard line. Marking closer to the 14, gain of only 1. If we could go back to that play, I'd like Brian to walk us through the catch by Brashad Perriman, where he caught the ball away from his body, something he has not done throughout much of his career. So a guy who's literally on the the last bit of everybody's patience around here Take us through what you like about Perryman on this reception.
Right here, watch where he puts the ball, but rather than body catch it, if you body catch it, you put yourself in a position where you then have to kind of muscle your way on the turn. That was one fluid action that he could have with his hands extended, make the turn, tuck the ball, and get more yards.
RG3 sacked back at the 23-yard line. And that's going to set up a 3rd down and about 18, so suddenly 3rd and long for RG3. But to go back to Brashad Perriman, there's a guy who the Ravens picked up the roster bonus of almost $650,000 to send him a very clear signal of, we're going to give you one last shot. But this is the last shot. You've got to make it. They want him to make it. He's a former 1st-round pick. He has some ability. He has some speed. And when he makes a catch like that, you start to think maybe he can turn the corner. 3rd down and 18 from the Rams 23. RG3's pass incomplete. That one was behind Perriman. And the kicking team will have to come on as Corey Vedvik will have a field goal try. So a drive that started with a promise for RG3 ends with a wobbly pass and incompletion. And the Ravens are going to have to see if they can't turn the turnover into a field goal.
And at this point in the game, with these players on the field, it is all about those one-on-one matchups, and you got to have all 11 on any given play, and that's hard to do with the hodgepodge of players that you have in the game.
41-yard try for Corey Vedvik. Sam Cook with a hold. Vedvik's kick is up, and it is good. And the kid from Norway delivers and extends the Ravens lead 26-0 in front of the Rams on the Ravens Game Day Network. Tim Williams with the defensive play of the game. Brian, a lot to like about this kid.
Oh, the way he dipped and then accelerated. It's not a matter of just dipping underneath the tackle. He did like he did right here. It's accelerating, follow through, don't hit the quarterback in the head, wrap up, strip sack. Young man that did a heck of a job. He had six tackles last year, 1 quarterback hit, and no sacks.
Terrific pass rusher at Alabama. Ran into a lot of the issues rookies do, where he disappeared mid-season, and now having a terrific training camp in year 2. And we just saw a flash of what the Ravens hope to see a lot of this year. Edge rush pressure from Tim Williams. Corey Vedvik will kick it off. High end over end. This one returnable. Brought out across the 15 to the 20. JoJo Natson turning the corner, but wrestled out of bounds shy of the 30-yard line. Well, we invite you to party with the flock Friday, September 7th at the Maryland State Fairgrounds. At the Countdown to Kickoff party presented by Miller Lite. Performing live, Third Eye Blind and the Struts. Tickets start at $15 at BaltimoreRavens.com/kickoff. Hope to see you out there. We'll be out there. Third Eye Blind. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right on top of my playlist on my iPod.
Come on, Brian. You got to know your Third Eye Blind.
Right there on the fact that I tell you it's an iPod dates me right now.
Hey, at least you didn't say Walkman.
There's a whole bunch of people.
Proud of you.
What the heck is an iPod?
I'm going to guess you haven't heard of Spotify. Flag on the play. Spotify, by the way, is not the spotters telling me who made the tackle.
Offense number 15. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
I'll tell you, the LA Rams are going to be a good team this year because these are not the players you're going to see for the LA Rams. But that's a long flight back to LA.
Oh, boy.
After a game like this where your backups are just getting nothing done.
Long, hot week, hot game, zero productivity. Getting shut out in the preseason, that leaves a mark.
Sean McVay not usually getting shut out. He's an extremely talented young coach. Brandon Allen looking to throw. His pass complete across the 30-yard line to the 32. Of course, the Ravens and the Rams practiced joint practices twice this week, and they were good practices. There was some serious hitting. We saw a lot of the complexity of Sean McVay's offense. We saw Jared Goff. He looks good. This is going to be a terrific Rams team. A lot of people are taking them as the Super Bowl team in the NFC. I'm not a big fan of preseason predictions, but you don't have to watch too much of the Rams in practice to realize they are loaded. You're not seeing their number ones tonight. So don't be misled by the performance of the players in the Rams uniforms that you are seeing tonight.
Yeah, this was the #1 scoring offense in the league last year, close to 30 points a game.
And on defense, where they got better and better as the year went on, they've added Ndamukong Suh. They'll get Aaron Donald back. They'll get that contract done. They got Brockers on the back end, Marcus Peters and Keith Talib. So this is, they're better in a very interesting division. How good Seattle going to be? San Francisco is Jimmy Garoppolo the next coming, as they're paying him to be. Then in Arizona, how long before we see Josh Rosen come in?
The joy of a new season. So many storylines waiting to be born. 1st and 10 Rams. John Kelly tries inside, bounces outside, gets the edge, and crosses the midfield line before stepping out of bounds. Jerry Sandusky, the coach, with you. Live from the Verizon broadcast booth, 3rd quarter, M&T Bank Stadium. Ravens in front 26-0. Just under 4 minutes left in this 3rd quarter. Next week, the Ravens will have joint practices on the road in Indianapolis with the Colts for 2 days before squaring off in a Monday night game. The rest of the run here, we'll see more of these young players. Tim Williams in at the left edge rush position. Kenny Young in the inside linebacker position. A couple of young guys the Ravens are looking for big things from this year. Allen's pass incomplete and almost picked off. It went in and out of the hands of Anthony Averett, the 4th round pick out of Alabama. And we've talked about this over the years. Ozzie Newsome, obviously, is kind of the godfather of Alabama. He is beyond legend status in that state. I mean, he's adored, and he still has a great deal of influence, and he has drawn from the Alabama talent pool over the years, has selected several great Alabama players. You don't see as many Auburn players on the Ravens roster. You think that's a coincidence?
That's those emotions run deep. You're right. I hadn't really thought about that, but we didn't have a lot of Auburn.
Allen on 2nd down, lofts it to the far sideline, and this one sails incomplete. Good coverage by Averett, talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a Ravens secondary that is loaded, is deep. Brian, I can't think of a luxury that is more important in the NFL than having a great quarterback and having great depth in the secondary, because you can't have enough good corners.
Well, remember a couple of years ago, that was the Achilles heel of the Ravens. The injuries just decimated them there, and Ozzie vowed then, we're never going to be short, because you're not just talking about 4 starters. You're talking about 5. You got to be 5, 6, and 7 deep. You got to have, and in different types. You got to have that slot basketball and grass guy. You have to have the big outside guys. You have to have safeties that can roam, got good vision. So, and obviously they make great special teams players as well.
On 3rd and long, Allen with the check down pass, complete across midfield and stretching close to a 1st down, but just shy is Fred Brown, who is taken down about a yard shy of a 1st down. Well, when it comes to guys you feel good about in the back end of your secondary, Eric Weddle is right there at the top of the list. In his 12th season out of Utah, he is the first person in the gym every day at Ravens camp, and then after a win, he treats himself to a gallon of ice cream and toppings galore. Loves to golf, and is probably the only guy in Baltimore who didn't realize that he missed out on a $1 million bonus last year when the Ravens did not make the playoffs. That 4th down play against the Bengals cost him $1 million. Wow.
And not that anybody would, but anybody, when you see the beard he's stoking right now, out at practice on that Monday, Tuesday, I was out there shooting for the network. He came in and sat on set with us. Said, not that anybody would anyway, but you got to be one tough son of a gun to be out in that heat. Come on, get out of our way. We got to be able to look at that beard. That is a thick, hot beard.
You could hide fugitives in that beard.
Holy mackerel.
Feed.
Wow. Remember the day when you could do that?
By the way, that is a Civil War caliber beard.
That is.
I mean, that's a general in a Civil War. I'm going to go John Hood.
Oh, okay.
I'll go General John Hood on that one.
Everybody knows who that guy is.
Sure. Just Google him. He's got Eric Weddle's beard. Flag down on 1st down. 2nd down, rather.
Ball start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
It's interesting with preseason, where the first preseason game, we didn't see a lot of these disruptive penalties, false starts, offsides, things like that. Yet in week 2, all of a sudden they start to crop up.
Well, different. Some of these guys, and you'd have to go back and look, but remember, it was we started the game with RG3. This may be the first time these guys obviously been in the game. It's different. It's different cadence, different rhythm.
Penalty puts the Ravens at a 2nd and 15. RG3 in the gun. Hands it off to Thompson, who is buried behind the line for a loss of a couple of more, back to the 35-yard line. You're listening to the Ravens Game Day Network, presented by Geico. Ravens in front of the Rams, 26-0, third quarter. Just about 2 minutes left to play in quarter number 3. Ravens started this game converting all 3 of their first 3 third downs, and they have gone 0 for 8 since. In the regular season, you would probably be a little bit concerned, if not annoyed. In preseason, it's just part of the lay of the land in August with all of the substitutions. It's hard to maintain momentum.
No, they went 3 verticals last time in this situation on 3rd and 20. Lamar Jackson overthrew it.
RG3 throws under the pressure this time, and Mark Thompson pulls his way out close to midfield, but he'll be shy of the first down by about 4 yards. So the punt team will come on, and Corey Vedvik, who is getting a lot of good looks here early in preseason, getting a chance to expand that demo reel that will be shopped around the NFL.
Well, there's no question he has the talent, and this is one of those areas where you see if he has one of those reverse spin kicks that kind of dies, where they drop it down, he drops the nose of it. Let's see if he has that in his repertoire.
Rams have had the same returner all night, Jojo Natson, and there it is, the Australia-style kick that Natson will settle under at the 15. A flag is down, and Natson weaves through some traffic before being taken down at the 24-yard line. 38-yard punt, dropped it down inside the 20. Last year, Sam Cook led the NFL in punts inside the 20 and inside the 10.
That's a huge weapon, in particular when you play as good a defense as
During the return, holding, receiving team number 38. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Busy night for Bill Vinovich and his crew. One of the veteran refs in a year where we will see 4 rookie referees. As a head coach, how concerned are you when you have 4 rookie referees?
Well, I'll let you know after he calls my game and how much it costs me. I mean, it's one of those things where these guys are obviously capable. They've paid their dues. The rhythm of the game and how they orchestrate it, that's the thing you're looking for. That's where it's kind of like becoming the head coach for first-time head coach, first-time play caller. You know, there's a rhythm to it. You know the fundamentals. You know what you're doing. But the rhythm is the thing that you got to get used to.
Several rookies now on the field for the Ravens and the Rams. And a young one of them for the Ravens at the inside linebacker spot, spying across the line to Brandon Allen. Third-year quarterback out of Arkansas on the pitch. John Kelly cuts it back across the 20 with room to run, heading to the far side. He's at the 35-40. Still on his feet across midfield, and finally pushed out of bounds shy of the Ravens' 45-yard line by Darius Williams. But not before John Kelly breaks it across midfield for a 39-yard gain.
That's the first time we've seen a Ram quarterback check, and of course in the normal Rams offense that's such a huge part. They have this creative verbiage, make a big deal about the Tupac call and all the other stuff that they come up with. And they've played it pretty straightforward tonight. Not that that's not to make an excuse or why they haven't scored yet, but it's been pretty straight up.
The pitch to Kelly is blown up in the backfield. Bronson Calfusi back there to put John Kelly to the turf for a big loss back to the Ravens' 45-yard line. And that is going to bring us to the end of the third quarter, where the Ravens continue to dominate the Rams. 26-0, Ravens in front on the Ravens Game Day Network. Mid-season gear for Ravens fans here in this first home preseason game. Ravens dominating the Rams 26-0. Brian, at a coach's perspective, you come in, you always have the checklist: stay healthy, make sure your number ones look good, check both of those boxes, and then look for progress from your backups. Lamar Jackson, I think, gets the check mark. What else stands out for you?
Well, you just said it. I mean, everything checked. Number one, healthy, and hopefully we can get through the rest of this without any injuries. We've got a bit of time before the next game against the Indianapolis Colts, 10 days, which is unique in the preseason. So they're going to take the kind of approach. They're going to kind of go back to a beginning of training camp mentality. Some of the fundamentals clean up, always have something to improve on, but they're going to look at the film.
and then give them a little bit of time off. And it's like you're restarting training camp, so it's a little bit different approach. But boy, there's not much to critique off this performance because this has been outstanding.
Rams with a screen pass to John Kelly on 2nd down, and Kelly will get it to the Ravens' 42-yard line. Defensively, Wink Martindale got to see some aggressiveness off the edge. Tim Williams really jumped out at me with his pass rush pressure. You put that in the mix with Suggs, with Matt Judon, with Brandon Williams, and all of a sudden, you've got some things you can do defensively that should scare other teams' offensive coordinators.
Yeah, because you're going to challenge their protection scheme. You know, obviously you've got to account for Suggs, even at year 16, capable of being a double-digit sack guy. And then if you can bring Williams and Judon in the backside and rotate that through and then move some on the inside, that's going to present a very, very difficult protection issue for a lot of teams.
Allen looking to throw. Under pressure, he's going to be wrapped up and dropped. Zach Seiler. And he has the asterisk next to his name as the last player ever drafted by Ozzie Newsome. He's already impressed the coaching staff as the strongest member of the 2018 Ravens team.
Yeah, and this is just, you can see that strength. Look, he does a little bit of a push around, and then he pushes the tackle all the way back, gets a hold of the quarterback, and when this guy gets a hold of you, he's not going to let go. It was when we asked John Harbaugh in our meeting, I said, give me the name of the guy. First guy comes off your lips as to someone, you know, that we might not be aware of. This is the guy that he brought up.
And that is another sack for science, powered by Constellation. Janarian Grant settles under the punt with a fair catch, and the Ravens offense will go to work at the 24-yard line. Jerry Sandusky and the coach, Brian Billick, live from the Verizon broadcast booth here at M&T Bank Stadium, where the Ravens lead the Rams 26-0. Under 14 minutes left to play, and a chance for rookies like Zach Seiler to make an impact. When you talk about rookies and Ozzie Newsome, consider this. Peter King put it out this week that the Cleveland Browns, from 2006 through 2011, had 11 first-round draft picks. They are all gone from the Browns roster. The Ravens in the last 3 years have drafted 30 players. 29 are still on the roster.
Yeah, and that's the difference between a championship pedigree and being 1-31.
Mark Thompson will carry on first down. Nice balance. Spins his way across the 25 out to the 26-yard line. When you consider the body of work for Ozzie Newsome, he'll be the first to tell you, yes, he misses on picks. Everybody does. But nobody has ever opened up their draft career selecting back-to-back Hall of Famers. When it's all said and done, he will have selected at least 4 Hall of Famers, won at least 2 Super Bowls, hopefully a 3rd this year. You know, Ray Lewis went out with a Super Bowl. Ozzie Newsome would certainly like to do that as well. Swing pass to the tight end Vince Maley. He'll be close to the first down at the 31. Down to the field and Evan.
Those draft picks, Jerry, was Orlando Brown Jr. in the 3rd round in the middle of your screen right there. And obviously his family ties to this organization and Ozzie Newsome have been well documented. But just think about the effort that he's put in throughout training camp. And tonight, a great picture of it. He was out there with the starters, the 2nd team line, the 3rd team line. He just came off the field at the tail end of the 3rd quarter. And this is a player that we know during the combine process was criticized for not being in shape and having some of those work ethic concerns. It hasn't been in this camp, and tonight was a great picture of it.
And before tonight, Evan, Brown's last time that he was at M&T Bank Stadium, he was an 8th grader.
Wow.
His dad was playing for the Baltimore Ravens. And on the topic of his late dad, consider this. Terrell Suggs played with Orlando Brown Sr. and Jr.
Now you know you've been in the
team.
league a long time. No, I remember the young man coming out to camp, and it was fun to visit with him the other day. He's very intelligent young man, very introspect, knew exactly what he needed to do to work on. He's been around this game a long time, and you could get that. But kind of soft-spoken, very respectful. He's got to craft his body a little bit. He's got some work to do, but the basics are there, and he knows the technique is what he's going to have to rely on for a while.
Ravens drive stalls, and Corey Vedvik has to punt it away. Jojo Natson on the return across the 30. He's got room far side midfield. Natson cuts it back and is taken down at the Ravens' 45-yard line. Rams ball when we get back to M&T Bank Stadium. It's all Ravens tonight. 26-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Ravens have put in a lot of work in the weight room, and nobody lifts more weights than Zach Seiler, the last player selected in Ozzie Newsome's general manager career as the Ravens GM. 6'6", just under 300 pounds, and he has a sack tonight and has made his presence known. Boy, if you've got a 7th-round pick who can make the roster in a 12-player draft class, John Harbaugh touched on this, the Ravens have rebuilt their roster.
It is, and you know, people got to understand the organization is a living, breathing entity. It goes through transformation. You tend to focus on the quarterback, and when those transitions come. But you're right. This is a makeover on this roster. It started a couple of years ago with the number. You very rarely had that many draft picks because they couldn't make the team, so you didn't bother trading and getting. So they've stockpiled over the last 3 years to build that core of that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year player.
4th quarter of tonight's game brought to you by Toyota. 1st and 10 Rams at the Ravens 45. Brandon Allen will have to wait because of the flags.
Prior to the play clock expiring, timeout, Los Angeles. 30-second timeout.
You know, we talk a lot about 1st-round picks like Lamar Jackson, but it's just as much work to find the jewel in the 7th round. Here's Eric DeCosta on what the Ravens saw in Zach Seiler.
A small school guy. You had a chance to watch him play this year. A very, very productive small school player as a pass rusher, very disruptive along the line of scrimmage. Built like a 3-4 defensive end, a body type that we really look for at that position. We love the edge he plays with. We've had good success over the years with some small school guys like Matt Judon.
Played at Ferris State. Here's the final 6 of a 12-man draft class. Jaleel Scott, Jordan Lastly, and then Deshaun Elliott. We've heard from all 3 of them tonight. Touch on the others after this play. 1st and 10 Rams at the Ravens 45. Allen's pass complete to the 40-yard line. And Brian, as we take a look at that back half of the draft, typically you don't get all that excited, but with Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta having such success later in the rounds, you have to think maybe a Greg Sennett, Bradley Bozeman, or Zach Seiler, who we've seen tonight, could become a player.
And you look at the positions, the tackle in the center, they're going to be on your practice squad. They're typically offensive linemen. Very rarely that an offensive lineman at draft choice isn't at least on the practice squad, so there's some development there. And Seiler, like you said, on a defensive line rich team, that gives you some options in terms of maybe you can go ahead and make that trade for one of your defensive linemen, which teams obviously covet when you have a young man in the pipeline like that.
John Kelly carries down to the 25-yard line. Deepest penetration of the night by the Rams, and LA looking at a 1st and 10 at the Ravens 25. Tonight's Ravens Game Day Network broadcast presented by Geico. See, some of those young Ravens defenders can force a turnover here. Kelly with the carry. Bronson Calfusi puts him to the turf at the 20-yard line. Calfusi, a 2nd-year player, switching positions, going to that outside edge rush position. Coaches frequently talk about young players making the big step in their 2nd year. What clicks usually for players in the 2nd year that's a mystery in their rookie year?
Well, and keep in mind, Calfusi he's an old rookie, went to BYU, he's a Mission kid, I believe. 27 years old, he's just a 2nd-year player. So, you know, that is a factor as well. But obviously they see some athleticism, the ability on the outside. They know they can do them elsewhere as well. So, yeah, this is an opportunity to just continue to develop a young man that has some technique work to improve on.
John Kelly slips one tackle, but Tim Williams won't let him go, and Williams wrestles him to the ground at the line of scrimmage. And now the Rams are looking at a 3rd down and 5. And again, I understand we're not looking at Jared Goff in that 1st-team Rams unit, but it's a great sign to see Tim Williams starting to flash.
Yeah, and we saw the 2 excellent pass rush, the ability to dip, close, make the tackle, finish it off to get the strip sack. Again, just you can't, it's kind of like the secondary we talked about. You can't have enough edge rushers, guys that can have that impact, particularly when you can stack them up opposite of a Terrell Suggs.
Williams on one edge, Kamale Correa on the other. The Rams looking at a 3rd down and 5 from the Ravens 20-yard line. Allen throws complete down to the 10-yard line, and the Rams will have another 1st down as JoJo Natson, who's had a busy night as a returner, makes the reception that extends the Rams drive. Kai Nakua, former Cleveland Brown, making the tackle after a year in Cleveland, coming over to the Ravens secondary, trying to find a spot on the back end of this Wink Martindale defense.
And this is a tougher call for Wink Martindale because where typically he might do and dial up some pressures and the like. This far down on the roster, you play pretty basic, and so you're not going to see much more than a 4-man rush, and challenge them to see can they get home with just that 4-man rush.
Allen's pass incomplete at the line, threw it behind his target. That'll stop the momentum for the Rams for at least the moment. Looking at a 2nd down and 10, 7:50 left to play. Jerry Sandusky, the coach, live from the Verizon broadcast booth. It has been a night that Wink Martindale's defense has kept the Rams off the board. They'd like to continue doing that here in the last 8 minutes of this game. Again, preseason, fully aware it means nothing statistically, but it does mean something to young players to get a sense of expectations. And the expectation is if you come into the game with a shutout, you're expected to hold it. Allen hands off to Kelly. He's got a hole, cuts back into traffic, and Tim Williams is right there to wrap him up after a short gain to the 8-yard line as the Rams continue to just try to pound away in the Grill Mates red zone.
You can look just to here coming down off the bottom. Oh, sorry, got a little late on my but just flowing to the game. You know, and that's what you're looking for. Because again, even if you could come up with that magical call that gets the free runner or the free receiver running down the field, I don't need to see a quarterback throw to an open guy. I don't need to see a guy get a free rush to the quarterback and tackle him. I want to see, can they take on the rush? Can we get home with the 4-man rush with the 1-on, 2-on-1 matchup? So that's the good part of what you're trying to deal with right now.
Allen's pass to the end zone, caught for a touchdown. Coming down with it, Kadero Hodge. And that'll do it for the Ravens shutout. On the coverage, Stanley Jean-Baptiste.
And that, in fact, that's a pretty good throw. That was a, desperation. You're down 26-0. 3rd down call. I'm going to let it fling nice and low. Great. Look how low he has to put this. Because if he had to put it anywhere but there, Jean-Baptiste is going to knock that thing down.
Oh, that's good coverage. Let's see if he does make the catch. He does appear to have his arms under the ball.
Arm was underneath.
They'll review it as they do all scores, but that's going to stand. Yeah, I can understand the frustration for Stanley Jean-Baptiste, a 4th-year player out of Nebraska, former 2nd-round pick of the New Orleans Saints, so a guy that the league knows has some talent. He was right on the receiver, but Kadero Hodge pulled that one off his shin bone.
Yeah, I'm past after seeing that one 3rd down that wasn't that we looked like it was in, and then Lamar Jackson reached the first. I'm done predicting. I don't know what the official sees, but that one looked like a catch to me.
Yeah, this one will stand, so the touchdown is confirmed, and Sam Ficken on for the extra point. Ficken's kick is good. So it spoils the shutout for Wink Martindale and John Harbaugh, but the Ravens continue to dominate. 26-7 on the Ravens Game Day Network, 4th quarter. The Verizon broadcast booth on what has been a one-sided game, but not a shutout. And that is a note of disappointment for John Harbaugh and for Wink Martindale, because you work so hard. Those are so hard to come by. But John Harbaugh has seen good performances by all 3 of his quarterbacks, starting with Joe Flacco, then Lamar Jackson, and now RG3. And the question we carried into this game, we will likely carry throughout preseason, Brian. Do you keep 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah, it's a dilemma everybody in the league has to deal with. It's a luxury when you don't. It's become vogue to carry 2 quarterbacks. But it's all about the development of Lamar Jackson. If they can afford to do that, they will.
In Canton, Wink Martindale got to see some flashes from Kamalei Correa tonight. The young player to stand out, Tim Williams. Here's Janarian Grant. He'll take the kick on the run, crosses the 10, finds an alley at the 20, breaks the tackler 2, and gets it out to the 27-yard line. Well, you're not making a roster decision on this guy. Lamar Jackson with the offensive play of the game.
Yeah, it was the scramble around, and then now you see that sheer athleticism one-on-one. You're not going to stop Lamar Jackson. in the red zone, that dynamic playmaking ability where it's huge. Everybody wants to be effective in the red zone. Short yardage red zone, he could be a weapon, all but in limited capacity during the season.
A lot of people want to compare him to Michael Vick. What do you think?
Interesting. Obviously, he's taller than Vick. Certainly that kind of athlete. I don't know if he has the sheer flat out speed that Michael Vick has. Probably close. Probably a similar thrower. Mike Vick had kind of a flat ball, a flat deep ball. That's something he has to develop and create a little bit more of a touch. But yeah, I think it's a fair comparison in terms of the abilities as a quarterback.
Marty Morningwig was, of course, able to coach Michael Vick in Atlanta. Morningwig has coached 5 Pro Bowl quarterbacks. All 5 were mobile quarterbacks. Mike Vick, Donovan McNabb, Steve Young, Jeff Garcia, and Brett Favre. So he's positioned well to take on the tutelage of Lamar Jackson. RG3 off the play fake. Slings it complete. Rashad Perriman across midfield and into Rams territory. Nice running throw and catch. And again, Rashad Perriman snatching the ball with his hands.
Yeah, so important. We made the point earlier. Just a little boot action, gets to the outside. Perriman's the crossing route. As he comes in, again, we make the point that it's so important that your ability to have the confidence in your hands as you pull that in to get any kind of yards after the catch.
Perriman came into this training camp without an assured spot on the roster after the Ravens rebuilt the receiver spot. So he understands the pressure he faces in these preseason games. Lance Turner with a short run to the 44 to go back and take another look at this catch by Perriman.
And again, the same thing we saw. He reached out in days past, or other receivers. If you wait for it to come into the body, it's likely that DB now. I mean, that extends the window with which you have to throw as a quarterback. So we've seen 2 good hand receptions by Perriman.
And he has looked very natural tonight, something we have seen very little of in the first few years as a Raven. Inside handoff to Lance Turner. Nice piece of running, extending, almost gets the first down, taken down about 2 yards shy at the 40-yard line of the Rams. It runs the clock. Under 5 minutes left to play in the ball game. Tonight's Ravens Game Day Network presented by Geico. 26-7, Ravens in front. You know, some guys are late bloomers. We talked about Kamale Correa. If Rashad Perriman comes on the scene and becomes an impact player, Ravens fans would be delighted. Ozzie Newsome and his team would be delighted because they invested a first-round pick in him. And then the question would be, what took so long? Was it just the injuries?
Well, that certainly can be a factor in terms of the maturation process for a player. It may be a little bit more than that. The question becomes, even if he's able to push himself into that roster spot, when you're looking at that 5th or 6th receiver, you got to have a special teams presence too. And I don't know that he's had a lot of experience with that. You're looking for, in visiting with John Fossil, the special teams coach for the Los Angeles Rams, that their 5th receiver a lot of times doesn't even meet with the offense that he's in, or practice in certain areas. He's going to be there developing those special team skills. That's become kind of vogue as well. You have the receiver in a disaster situation, but if he doesn't have a special teams present, he's not going to be your 5th receiver.
Is he tradable at this point in his career? If Rashad Perriman were to have a terrific rest of this preseason, makes 20 catches the rest of the run, and we see the kind of catches we've seen tonight, is he tradable, or will teams just lay out and say, you're going to release him anyway because of the numbers? Yeah,
I would think that. Or maybe someone, just to avoid the process, throws you something late, you know, a payback maybe too, that you got to even up the debt, so to speak. But sure, you know, a speed and talent is, and here's a shot right here. We're going to see it in the deep corner.
RG3 going for Perriman, reaches out, makes the catch. Is he in bounds? Touchdown! Rashad Perriman. A terrific throw, a better catch, and suddenly Rashad Perriman has arrived on the scene in week 2 of the preseason. Just when you thought he had run out of hope as a Raven, Rashad Perriman is stepping up and making his presence felt.
Yeah, this simple go route. Again, good timing, good height on the ball, not too flat. Nice throw by RG3, just a little nod in there. Played good body. Preseason went up and caught it with the body catch. Okay, you'd like to have seen him reach up with his hands at this point to secure the catch. Little tug and push there, but no harm, no foul. but he hung on to the ball. Those are the kind of catches that eluded him up to this point. So, yeah, good solid night for Perriman, and see if you can get maybe to rethink that in terms of your first-round pick.
Bill Vinovich waiting for the booth review after the touchdown. We think this will stand. A huge night for Breshad Perriman, a 33-yard touchdown reception. 3 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. If it stands, no reason to think it won't, and it will stand. So Breshad Perriman, 3 catches, a touchdown, 71 yards. And suddenly Breshad Perriman has worked his way into the conversation at wide receiver for the Ravens. Vedvik with the extra point attempt punches that through. 3:06 left to play, and the Ravens in front 33-7. RG3 thrilled with the results on the Ravens Game Day Network. (33-7) Ravens in front of the Rams. Breshad Perriman getting into the end zone with his 3rd catch of the night. A brilliant throw by RG3. Perriman reels it in, gets his feet in bounds, did everything right as he has done tonight. But it's going to be a tough roster to find a spot on because of the new targets at wide receiver. John Brown, Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead all have looked exceptional in training camp. We got some glimpses of them tonight. That's the big 3. That's the starting 3. The battle at wide receiver is for 4 and 5. You got Chris Moore there. Chris Moore looks terrific this summer. So the battle arguably is for 5 and 6 if you keep a 6th wide receiver. And you have to also include with Breshad Perriman in the fight 2 draft picks this year in Jaleel Scott and Jordan Lastly. And Brian, can you keep 6 wide receivers if you keep 3 quarterbacks?
Oh boy, all of a sudden the numbers game.
You said you were a math guy.
Yeah, well, I can't, but I can't. It's got to still add up to 53. I can't. So, and that, like I said, it's got to have a special teams presence, and that's where Jerry Rossberg and obviously John Harbaugh, the final arbiter of that, knowing if because otherwise you start chipping away at some key areas, particularly in special teams. You know, Perriman, and there's going to be, from the organizational standpoint, I mean, frankly, to be honest with you, yeah, it's an embarrassment to miss on the receivers, and I was part of that, you know, since my time, whether it was a Mark Clayton, and they, for whatever reason, as good as this organization has been, we've just missed on receivers, and the bulk of the productivity from that position, like these guys, has come from guys from the outside, whether it's Derek Mason, whether it's Steve Smith Sr., whether it's Anquan Bolton. I mean, that's where the productivity has come.
Well, the Geico scoring drive, 7 plays, 72 yards, 33-yard touchdown pass, RG3 to Breshad Perriman. Now with 3:05 left to play, the Rams working their way down their roster. Nick Holley, a rookie free agent out of Kent State, with the carry. And it's Zach Seiler again making the stop for the Ravens. So the 7th round draft pick, Zach Seiler, having a big game as well. That's the beauty of preseason. You know, it's one thing to see a guy's name on draft day, and then it's another thing to hear he's the strongest player on the team. But to see a guy from Ferris State suddenly assert himself in an NFL game, you know, he's carried that dream like every other rookie on this roster, and suddenly you think at a deep position they could very well be deeper now.
And that's the only question you heard Eric DeCosta talk about. You know, we've had success with small school guys, and like Matt Judon, you know, from Grand Valley State, a guy from Ferris State. Well, the question will be, I want to see if next week, let's push this guy up the chart a little bit, because you know what he does against that level of competition, and that's frankly what he's kind of facing now. Let's see how he does against the bigger guys and see if he can hold up.
Brings us to the 2-minute warning with the Ravens in front, 33-7 on the Ravens Game Day Network. So the Ravens dominating numerically and statistically. Pretty good offensive night when you get 66 plays in, 142 yards rushing. They've just squashed the Rams in passing yards, and the big 0 you love to see, Brian, as a coach, no turnovers. 3 quarterbacks, no turnovers.
Yeah, you take that box and laminate it, put it in bronze, whatever. That's the one you'd like to take into every game.
Rams ready to run out the clock here as Nick Holley is dropped for a loss. That is a rookie linebacker, Miles Humphrey, making the stop for the Ravens. 4 field goals in this game for Justin Tucker and Corey Vedvik. This season, Justin Tucker, the Ravens, and Campbell's Chunky are teaming up to fight hunger in the Baltimore area. With those field goals, Campbell's will donate another 500 cans of soup to the Maryland Food Bank. There's a guy, Justin Tucker, who has become part of the fabric of this community.
Yeah, we've been
2 kickers, Matt Stover.
How about that?
Right?
Yeah,
Justin Tucker, such a huge part, not just the team, but the community.
Right. The fans have been spoiled with the productivity at that kicking position.
Kickers are usually people fans hate.
Yeah.
These guys are beloved, and for good reason, too. Nice play by the rookie out of Alabama, Anthony Averett, knocking down the pass, and that'll force the punt team on for the Rams. So it will likely be victory formation from here on out for the Ravens, as they'll wind down the clock and take one step closer to the 2018 regular season, which will open up here in Baltimore against the Buffalo Bills. And there's a nice storyline there, considering last year it was the Ravens who opened the door to the playoffs to the Bills. John Harbaugh gets to shut that door early on Sean McDermott in Buffalo this year as they open up the season with the Bills here in Baltimore.
And that's got to be an interesting decision for Sean McDermott. Let's say Josh Allen, their first-round pick, moved up to the 7th position to take him. Interesting talent. Let's say you're going to go that route, and I'm one that advocates that you play a quarterback early. But I'm going on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. If there's one team I probably don't want to start a rookie quarterback, it would be that. So it'll be interesting to see if that indeed factors into the equation for Buffalo. I don't have their schedule right here in front of me in terms of where else that would happen, but that's very, very real. And the Ravens, not to take anything away from Josh Allen, would you like to have a home opener against a rookie quarterback? Yeah, I think I like those odds.
John Harbaugh and all of his coordinators have an amazing record against rookie quarterbacks. They've only lost to one. Last year, Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears in a game that they should have won.
Right.
So they'll take any rookie quarterbacks that want to come to town. Brian, as we wind down the last 30 seconds, what's your big takeaway from tonight?
Every box is checked. Every opportunity. You stayed healthy, which is number one. You saw good performance by your starters, all but by a backup team of the Los Angeles Rams. Situationally, you had red zone, you had backed up offense, you had a 2-minute offense. A lot of teaching can come off this tape. They've got a little extra time. This is going to be was a good night for the Ravens. It's going to be a good couple of days to build on this.
And the final seconds come off the clock to make it official as the Ravens take down the LA Rams 33-7. Lamar Jackson with a touchdown, Joe Flacco with a touchdown, RG3 with a touchdown as the Ravens win it tonight at home on the Ravens Game Day Network. The post-game show coming up next.